that the ITR 7 is a minefield in itself, and we have to walk through it. And there will be areas where there will be multiple views which we can deliberate on. We will go through the ITR first. So we make a presentation of all the schedules that are relevant for the ITR for a charitable trust. Once we are done with that, we can, if time permits, go through an example and see that how the schedules have to be filled up. We'll start with each of the schedules which are relevant. So the principal schedule that starts the ITR is the Part A General, the Schedule I, Schedule D, Schedule J, Schedule Part A BS, Schedule BC, Schedule AI, Schedule ER, Schedule EC, Part B TI, and Part B TTI. These are the principal schedules which we will try and address in this. And I think we'll have major issues in this, mostly in Schedule J and Schedule Part A BS. And in the other schedules, there are certain important things that have been added, or there are certain amendments that have come in, or there are certain new schedules that have come. So what we will do is we'll just deliberate on each of them quickly, so that at the end, if time permits, we can do a example. And I think Vipin Bhai also would like to make a small short presentation or something. If time permitting, we will do that.
No, discussion.
Okay.
Case study application.
Okay. So starting with the first thing. First of all, the trust has to file the ITR under the applicable section under 139 is 139(4)(a), wherein a trust which is registered under 12(a) or under 1023(c) would have to file their return of income. Once they start, the due date for their return is 31st October. However, the due date to file the Form 10B is 30th September. But the due date to file 9 and 10 is again the due date of filing the return, which is 31st October. So the important document that had to be filed before 30th September was 10B. If for any reason you have not yet filed your 9A or 10, if you have an accumulation, you can still file it before the 31st of October. Okay. So we start with the return. Starting with the first one, Part A, General. The name as mentioned in the deed creation. This has to match with the PAN. Otherwise, it throws a error. We had a situation in the case of a Form 10A application, where the date of incorporation as per the PAN card and the date of incorporation as per the document were different. We had to amend the PAN card, and then only we could file the Form 10A also.
This is, I marked in many cases, this is a misconception in the professionals, mainly. Because what is the date of incorporation in case of trust or association, whether Section 8 company also in.
Correct.
So the day on which the trust deed or MOA is executed is the date on which the trust has come into existence. So in PAN number, that same date should be there. People generally write the registration date.
Registration date. That's the issue.
So registration you may do, you may not do. You do after 1 year or after 2 years. But the trust has came into existence on that day.
Correct.
So this I agree with Deven that care is to be taken for that.
Then coming to the next A3 is date of formation incorporation.
PAN card here given date of.
So now let it continue. Now suppose you said in PAN card whatever date is mentioned, practical purposes that we should carry.
Correct. You can amend it if you want.
If you want, yeah.
In the long run, you should amend it. In the long run, at some point, what will happen is they will throw a mismatch. Because what is happening, as we are noticing from the return, gradually everything is getting AI. So what happens is the moment at one return, somewhere you give some wrong data, different data, not wrong data, but the different data. AI will throw a query. The moment it throws a query again, you'll have to go through the whole rigmarole. So the better process is to do it all in sync. So like they've asked us specifically, but 12A1 AC registrations, you have to be specific, write the details, and you have to be very careful in writing the correct details. The moment you write a wrong detail, you could be denied the 12A, or you will get a 143 1A with the entire amount. I am handling just now. In the last 5 days, we got 5 such queries from various friends regarding the 143 1As. Some have not filed Form 10B correctly. Some have not filed Form 10B. Some have not written the details of 10B in the return. So all these are the issues. And then what happens is, once you have a demand, then it goes to procedure. And once it goes to procedure, you guarantee yourself 2-3 years of work, whether remunerative or not, I don't know, but at least 2-3 years of work, I know. Yeah. Okay. Then the flat number, name of premises, road, state, area is all fine. State, PIN code is all okay. Going forward, the status. Its status, it will be AOP, and sub-status will be charitable trust. Sorry. Substatus will be, there are 2 substatus. There is a public charitable trust option, and there is an option of society registered under the Societies Registration Act. So, for example, if you are a trust registered in the state of Maharashtra and you are a society, then you can fill up the details of your society also. So every trust, so for the sake of, I don't know whether there are other participants, for the sake of state of Maharashtra and Gujarat, every trust registered as a society is also registered under the Maharashtra Public Trust Act. So even if we write public charitable trust and write that, it will not be wrong. But if you are a society, theoretically you get the society registration first and then you get the public trust registration. So that's the care that should be taken. As of now, even if you write public charitable trust, it should not be a problem.
Status you mentioned.
AOP, BOI.
Here they are writing ITR.
No, so if you
status is
have
AOP.
your PAN number has a wrong status, it does not have a status of an AOP, or it has a status. Some trusts sometimes are getting F, or they are getting.
No, here in return, we have to mention code numbers are given, no?
Yeah, so they give an option.
So code number 2.
Code number 2.
Yes, status you have to put in the code number 2.
Two indicates what?
Status.
So sub-status you get a pick. I think it's 8 or 11. I can't.
Status also you will get a listing. So you can select this listing as AOP viewer. So if you take a utility, at least the utility which the CPC is giving, you will get a status listing as to whether you are what you want to select. So you select AOP viewer, and you will be able to then get a sub-status, whether it's a charitable trust or society or whatever.
No, but if trust is there, but 12A is not registered. No, because unregistered also.
Then ITR 5.
ITR 5.
Then you have to go to ITR 5.
No, ITR 7 is also permitted. 139(4) says if it's a public trust, they can file ITR 7. But you say utility is fine. Utility is a system based something else there. But you know, if 12A is not there, so you can file ITR 7 because 139 you read 4A. It says public trust. It is not mentioned specifically that it is income tax or registered. No, it should be a public trust.
Yeah, but the difficulty arises because the system will not take your return.
No,
How will you file the return? Even by theoretically, we accept that your public trust, which is not registered at 12A, should be put into ITR 7.
Yeah, but then
I'll tell you, there is a practical thing which has happened. So there was a chartered accountant in this building itself, where over the years he used to fill up bogus 12A number. Not whatever.
Last it happened many times, and you are getting 143.
You are getting 143, one also.
I think we can conclude and move.
Yeah.
See, you can file it, but Ashok said it is difficult. It will
Now
not
it is
be-
impossible to file an
Yeah,
ITR 7.
practically it will not be possible.
It will not be that.
I will have to check. I think it should
Yeah.
accept 4A also says, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it is not
Okay.
happening.
Then the phone number, mobile and all okay. Email address. I think we should start avoiding using our email address as the email address, because I think there's a stop linkage of only up to 10 emails allowed. And then even if you are secondary email, it's allowing, but then the notices also come to us. And tomorrow, if it's a defaulter trust, and if it is one of the famous trusts which is monitored by the Ministry of Home Affairs and it's your email ID, you could also be in the loop. So it's always advisable as a professional not to use your email ID in any of the trusts. Then the return under section 139(4)(a), this section which exception is A18. Coming to the projects, where any project institution is run by the assessee. I think they clearly want us to write all the projects that trust is carrying out, because it will also be helpful when after 5 years we are going to reapply for our 12A. What? Because the commissioner has the power to say whether the trust has been carrying out activity. Now, so you have say the case of a school. There are some schools which are having 5-6 trusts, or some trusts which are having 5-6 schools. So what they do is you have to write down the details of each of the schools that is run by the trust. Okay, so let's say Jain College. Jain College has say 5 units. So say Bombay, Maharashtra separately. But they are separate registrations also. So they also want us to give the nature of activity and the classification. So now what happens is this classification code is there. See instruction there. What will happen is, back. What will happen is you have filed your 12A, 10A, where you have taken the 12A registration. In that, they had asked you which are the activity you have shown. If you have shown yourself as a medical and other trust, and here you show educational, they will also raise a query in the future. Obviously, if your object clause is there, you can always say, I did not inform in that, but it is still an activity which is allowable as well. But for whatever reason, if you don't have that activity, then you are carrying out an activity which is in contravention of the provisions, and you could lose your 12. So you have to be very careful that when you fill up the classification in the 10A that you had filled up and when you took the 12A, you also covered all those clauses. This I think is a very important one, because I think most of us don't, just fill up whatever is there and go ahead. But sometimes this could be a problem.
But the trust where there is
in the previous year, for example, there is a trust which is running 4 schools.
Correct.
But only the main school name is written just for the validation purpose.
No, not.
But this year now, if we mention the other school works.
That's fair enough.
That's fair enough.
That's fair. Now, giving factual detail is never a problem.
Not
If it was not given, not given. But you want to give it now, it's always a better.
So you said all school name should be given.
So I'll tell you one of our trusts.
different. One is here, one is Ahmedabad, one is in
So
Pune,
we
one
have-
even in Bombay,
So-
Malad.
So I'll just share with you what happens is for a school. It will come in the next slide A19. They ask for, we'll go to A19 first. That is, that's okay. It asks for details of registration, provisional registration or approval under the Income Tax Act, and below that in 20, details of registration provisional under any law other than Income Tax Act. They have not specified which act. I will explain to you what happens. Suppose you are a school, you have to go and take, say in the state of Maharashtra, you have to go to the BMC and get, if you are a primary, and if you are a secondary school, you have to go to the education department and get your permission. So your certificate of registration as a school is from there. Suppose you are a hospital, you have to get a certificate of registration from the nursing department. If you are below 100 beds, there is one registration. If you are above 100 beds, there is another registration. So technically, all these are also registrations which could be important in the future, because going forward, if they start linking all these things, this is the reason that you need to. So
you are saying in Bombay there are more than one school. You write all this.
All the names. So we have one.
So is it compulsory?
Not compulsory. It's not compulsory. See, the part A is a general one. Because of this, your return is not going to
in the project.
But it's a factual base. It's just a fact.
So school, college, that is sufficient.
Correct. So there are some trusts which have schools in Maharashtra and in Karnataka and in Calcutta. Now what happens is Calcutta has a separate registration, Maharashtra has a separate, Karnataka will have, and Calcutta will have. So all three can be.
But in Bombay, suppose
Another question arises. There are many trusts have no specific project.
Then just write the trust name and activity. That is the practical approach. Yeah.
Because
Because
in that case, there is no specific project.
Correct.
They get the
So,
donation, they spend for
yes,
education,
no,
medical and other.
That is also fine. That is
Also, a
also
lot of family trusts which are charitable.
correct. Which are
No specific
correct.
Dharmashal will be a project.
Dharma.
They are running.
Dharamshala.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Dharamshala. Every Dharamshala
Yeah,
would have
Dharamshala.
something.
Dharamshala is
Sharma Dharamshala or whatever. Something like that. So that becomes your institution.
Cup holder.
That is the activity.
cup holder.
But for religious trust, you have to mention like temple maintenance and Dharamshala maintenance.
Not maintenance. The name of the institution.
It is called as a project, like temple, Dharamsala.
Yes, it's a project.
There could be a
It's
temple.
religious and
So
charitable.
if
no?
I have a temple which has got 4 temples all over the state, or so you have 4 different names or whatever name, you can put the
So like the trust object, the running, like whatever the running object. Well, temple is a running object. It's not a specific project. We have to mention like temple.
See, what it
They will
is-
let the answer.
whether any project institution is run by the assessor.
It's called a project temple.
Is it a project, you tell?
Institution तो है ही. It's a temple is an institution.
Sir is handling one temple which is in Mathura. He's also got a temple which is also in Jodhpur, the same trust. So
In
those are
Bombay
2
also.
different temples.
In Bombay also.
And 1/3 is in Bombay also. Correct.
You have got marriage hall in Matunga.
Uh,
They are running sanatorium at Lonavala.
So there are 2 activities.
projects.
2 projects.
It's different.
There are 2
All
different projects.
is something
So you should
different
ideally
than.
write the 2 projects. Ideally, you should write.
તમારા order is fine. બરોબર? So that's a separate project by itself. The activities are also different.
So this, as of now, there is no. If you fill up only one item, it is
It's
not
okay.
going to. It's okay.
It's
So
okay.
there are a lot of
Other issues. Correct,
issues.
correct,
Let's go ahead, because each point we could debate over.
Correct.
This is not a thing which is very difficult to.
Correct.
It will not harm.
It will not harm if you write one project.
Yes, yes.
But advisable to write.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
basic
Okay.
point.
Then the next one is details of registration, provisional registration under the Income Tax Act, mandatory if required to be registered. So, yes,
So
probably. what
here,
are
when
saying
you
is-
fill up, I have one issue.
See, that's
Yeah,
what is
probably.
there.
What he says now, it is because mandatory if required to be registered.
So even if not,
Then it could be.
I
So,
see.
Yes.
we have never
and
tested it.
my problem in ITR 5 is, it's not for, so there are certain provisions which is not applicable. Now their amount spent on object of the trust, there is no, you have to claim 57. So now whether 57 is is amount spent to earn the income.
Correct.
So
Yes,
spending out of
Got
income
it.
and spending.
Yeah.
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 So there is one issue over here. When you fill up the return, you have both ATG and 12A. Okay, you are required to fill only 12A. Don't fill up ATG, otherwise you will get a wrong section in the utility. There is a problem. So you have to fill up only the 12A portion over here. So when you go to the section, it will not allow you to select section 11 when you go down.
Correct.
So you will have that utility problem. So therefore, write only the 12A registration over here. Though you have an ATG registration is not asked in the entire return anywhere.
Yes.
You don't need
It is-
not
The
fill it.
heading is very clear.
Correct. No, yes. Then the next one, details of registration, provisional registration.
Yeah.
The date of registration now, now they are asking,
Re-register.
right?
Re-registration.
Re-registration.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
That is gone.
Yes, yes. That is over. That is over.
It is gone.
Your new registration date has to be put.
Same. Because
That would be-
that number and the date and their record will match.
Old
It- it will
registration.
So
all-
now everything is with CPC. That
This-
re-registration is CPC.
This one,
Provisional also.
this will be the A19 is the fundamental, the entry, the lock. It will open the door for 11, 12, 13. If this is not filled up correctly, it will throw.
So if you fill up an old number over here,
You will not get 11, 12, 13.
It will not
you
proceed.
will, you take the return and give you a demand in the
It'll-
next day itself, taxing the entire thing, you will not get 11, 12, because
Correct.
you are not registered as per the system.
Then there,
Mandate new number one.
yes. Then details of registration approved under any law other than income tax. And here they are specifically written, including under FCRA, registration on Darpan portal of Niti Aayog and registration with SEBI. Now these registration of Darpan portal of Niti Aayog and registration with SEBI is a new addition that they have done. In the previous year's ITR, if you see, this word was not there.
That one was there.
No, it was not there. Not there. Not there.
Not there. Specific, this is not. was not
That is
specific.
in FCRA.
I would have liked to do this, but I am a bit actually I wanted to highlight all the important provisions which are added, but I have it here in front of me. So you have to give your Darpan details, Niti Aayog details. If you're registered in SEBI, you have to give those. I'm sure by next year they are going to ask us the CSR registration details also in this, which also you can probably give if you want. Because if you are registered under CSR and you're receiving CSR, this could become the next clause that they will add, because you are now to receive CSR, you have to register under FCA. So that is another clause that needs to be kept.
CSR 1.
Yes, CSR 1. And return filed under. Yes, sir.
In FCRA, you give the initial registration or
Last. Latest one.
Whatever is your
Very,
latest.
very-
Because if you are at the initial registration, then your FCRA is the cancel. They have
What?
cancelled it by now. Or it will be lying in
valid.
this thing parked up. Return filed under section 139. That's okay. And if you have done some consideration, you have the option also to file the belated return under 111. If revised, if that's okay. G plus residential status, you have to give resident only. I don't think that non-resident is an option. So whether, but I don't know why they have kept this provision. But it must be for the other. ITR 7 is for many other political parties and electoral
Correct.
trust and all those. So yeah. So then whether any income included in total income for which claim under 1991 has been made, that will also be
Foreign income.
foreign income if you have it. Whether there is representative assessee, no. Whether in a partner,
Foreign
these are not
income,
unlisted equity shares. A22 is also not relevant. Next slide. Whether if any run by you is here. A23 is an important one. Very
Yeah.
careful when you fill up A23.
Yeah, what
Very
for that, if you fill up, if you say you are holding any unlisted share, you are violating 11.5. So be very careful. A no or yes over there will lead to really a difficult problem, because you are violating 11.5, which can lead to a cancellation of your registration.
Now,
Correct.
here,
And if I'm not mistaken, just to add to it, I think if suppose someone has donated shares to you,
Yes.
you have a
Like
time
sir.
of 1 year.
after the end of the year in which it is received. So one return will fall due.
Correct.
So in that case, you have to write yes, and it is not converted into 11.5. Time is there.
So that would be a
Yes, that
issue.
is-
It would be an issue.
There will be an issue.
Yes, please.
But this is for unlisted equity shares. They are not listed. They are not
Whether
listed.
listed or unlisted, your this 11.5 provision is the same.
Yeah.
In case of this colleges, generally trust sometimes gets the loan from the bank or maybe from the cooperative bank. And for cooperative bank, they have to take the shares. So that will come under unlisted share. because
Yes.
So if they are mentioning here any repercussion on other things.
It could have, so
Yes, shares of
cooperative society.
so it's a cooperative bank, correct? Registered as a under society's registration act. And the shares are permitted is a public company.
Okay.
So 11.5 it doesn't permit.
There are
But-
equity shares, cooperative societies shares are.
Yes, it is compulsory.
I
You have
know,
to
I know.
buy it. And in one of our case, it is there. We are reflecting. There is no problem at all. Because those, I think the materiality also will have to, very small amount it
No,
is.
no, generally they have to take higher amount of 2.5%. Linkage is there.
See, if I tell you, if it is registered under
Yeah,
Maharashtra.
but then conclusion is, yeah.
If it is registered under Maharashtra Public Trust Act, then you need prior permission even for the bank facility also.
Yeah.
Facility, even not only that, against OD or against CC or
Bombay Maharashtra Charitable Trust Act
36A.
36 say you have to take specific permission, then only you can take a loan.
So if you have that permission, and there is a condition that you have to buy the shares, then there shouldn't be.
Yeah, here one more. Here, it,
Ashok,
they have invested in Patpeti, Maharashtra Cooperative Credit Society, sorry, they have invested. That is
violation.
Violation, complete
It
violation.
says scheduled bank or
Yeah,
cooperative bank.
So-
So that is not a cooperative bank.
No,
So
that
if
is-
they are registered with them and are cooperative and known as cooperative in general parlance,
No, no.
it's okay. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
no
So now
violation.
the provision is if you have violated 11.5, that is one of the conditions on which you could
Lose your 12.
Earlier, what was the provision was that suppose you have violated to the extent of the income, it will be taxable.
Now there is a definition of.
Here also section says only that extent whatever income.
Listen,
is
listen,
that
listen.
will be taxed.
There was a lot of litigation on this issue. People were asking that only income of that is to be taxed. And department was principal amount was adding and calculating the taxes. Now there is from 23, 24. 1 year there is a problem. They have defined
30%.
specified violations and specified income.
Tax.
So they have fixed a boundary. So please read those two things, specified income, specified violation. So in those cases only you have to pay that 30%. And now it is clear 1310 has that 1310 is also there at your rescue. But in such cases, there is a clear-cut provision from assessment year 23-24 that only that portion will be taxed.
Not the entire amount.
So that litigation is settled.
Yeah.
But not the entire. No, with the violation will be taxed.
Only the violation.
Principal amount.
Bombay High Court decision is there.
Yes, yes, it is already there.
That's
Will be a-
Okay,
yeah,
so
please, please.
business incubators,
Hmm?
business incubators,
yeah.
where the grants are received specifically to invest in equity shares of the startups. Then what would be the position?
But they are registered as a
Charitable trust,
Section 8 company or a charitable trust.
charitable trust.
They have written in their object laws that investment is a part of their object laws. Investment,
Yeah, that is the part of the object.
and they have got the 12A.
Yes.
Just a moment, my one further question. That money is received with a condition. It's a donation or any
Grant.
other
Grant.
it's a grant. So grant is also equal to consider as a with condition donation. So once it is donation, then grant is condition to buy that Tata share. So condition itself is a void. According to me, they can throw that
But,
because
grant is
11.5 doesn't permit. Only
There is no exemption.
no exemption is a violation.
So even this small.
You can
shares
take, you
are
can
even-
get and pay the tax. That's
even
it.
minuscule or whatever it is.
No, but what will happen is, in your case, the whole you got your 12A because the system gives 12A based on whatever documents you file. Okay, today. So they are not actually specific. No one is reading the agreements per se as to whether it is there. When you now go for renewal, as of now, they will give you the grant. They will tax you, offer for taxation, whatever the shares which you purchase on that income will be fully taxable. You will not get 11 and 12.
Not only that,
Yeah.
reopen all the cases.
Yeah. So you could face a problem where all your 11 and 12 taken earlier could be held to be violation, because per se it is not a charitable object. Per se it's not a charitable
If
object.
it is a public sector company, so 11.5 permits. But Tatas are not public sector.
No, but unless you are under some other provision and not.
I think my request will be, we will
Okay.
concentrate on return.
Yeah, let's
If
concentrate on
if you feel you can.
We can discuss this offline
yeah,
after.
Yeah,
We'll
even I
discuss it
can-
offline. So that
Even,
we'll have a
even I can
correct.
take one more meeting afterwards if you send me the issues. If you send me the
Battery
issues.
Okay.
No, because we have taken.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah,
I agree. Because there's the return will take a lot.
yeah,
of
lot
time.
of
So
time.
let's try and stick to that. If there's something, just
Case
discuss it
study
in
is
a
also
brief.
there. Big
So I
case
don't
study
think-
is also there. So I
Ah,
think
why?
return go fast. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go
Nahi,
fast.
Ah,
Where any project institution run by the advancement of any other. So if you are under the 6th limb, the 8th limb now, I think, of the section 215 subclause GPU, general public utility, then if it's your activity, if it is more than 20% or it is less, then you have to give the details. So if you click here and if it is more than 20%, you will straight away
Lose
lose
your-
your. So according to our understanding, you have to use the provisions of the law that you are carrying out. If you are having some activity which is incidental to that activity, so you are purely an educational institution, you are selling books, this is not applicable. You are a hospital, which is a medical and selling pharmacy, 6th limb is not applicable. Only if you are a mixed object trust, which is with all the objects, and you are having some activity in the nature of, say, trade of books and all. Again, there you can take recourse to site publication and say, okay, this is incidental to the object of the trust and it should be allowed. But it will be a point of litigation. So here you have to be very careful whether you want to give full disclosure or you don't want to give full disclosure. So that's
But
the
4A permits.
4A permits, obviously.
11 4A
11 4A permits is,
incidental to the object of
but
the
that
trust,
11 4A
separate
is
books.
generally for everyone.
Fine. But even education, medical also.
Yeah. So that's what 11 4A. So you have to maintain. But so 11 4A.
Science Sansthan,
See,
there are no separate books.
education.
The provision to 215. If you have general clause in the, you fall in the last limb.
Then
If you have violation of 20% barrier, then you will lose your 11 12.
correct.
So when you select over here, will decide how you go about it.
Correct.
So if you select yes in 3 options, you will lose your. He will not give you 11.
I agree with that, filling the form. But otherwise, the provision is very
Okay. Then the next one is if
So
there is,
unnecessary you land up
creating
in create problems
Yeah,
for
yeah.
yourself.
if there is any change in the object activities during the year on the basis of which approval. So if there is any change in the object, you have to give. So that is basically if you are going to, if you have amended your object clause, only click there. Just because you are having 2 objects, medical and educational, and you move from educational to medical, you don't need to click it. Very important. Only if you have actually amended the deed, then you should click. If he has then details of, because then you'll have to give the full details. And the moment you amend the clause, please be noted 12A, 1AC, 4, I think 4 or 5. It is mandatory to file. You have to amend. You have to make a fresh application for your 12A after the amendment. Failing which you will lose the 12
within 30 days.
within 30 days.
From the implementation of the.
There are
Body
practical issues in that, but I don't think we should discuss that. Just now we can discuss that later. Whether there is liable to tax at MMR, is this your first return? Yes or no? I'm still not able to understand why, but they've asked for it, whether it's yes or no. I tried to understand it, why they wouldn't, but I think it's
Certain earlier details
maybe
automatic goes.
automatically, probably, yeah. Come. Next part is, are you liable to audit under Income Tax Act if you are having business income and business activity which has been settled in trust, and if that is liable to audit, you have to click here and give the details of the 44 days tax audit.
So it is confirming our earlier view that even if the business entity is crossing the limit of 44AB, that audit is there.
Trusted.
Here I will.
No. I don't think
No, it's
that.
okay. 12A1B is fine. That is to be there.
I think I think they have clarified also here, audit means not 44A.
No, not
12A.
No, this is 12A1. Sorry, not here. Any other? Is there?
But otherwise, my view is that you are liable. 44AB will.
This is 12A1B. If you
Should be there.
if your gross receipts are more than
Please,
2,50,000.
Correct. Yeah, this is the 12A1. Correct. Form 10. Basically the Form 10B.
Yes.
The Form 10B details have to be filled in correctly. And please be careful in filling this.
You said books and pharmacy, their audit will be required?
My view is that.
My view is no.
No. For judgments.
Like there are.
So there are
Yeah.
two.
But there it says NESS.
Right.
Person.
That's a controversy
Here
which
some
can address
members
later.
are facing, because I have got 2-3 phone calls, filling this auditor's detail. They are facing some problem. Whether you have experienced that?
No, I think there is no difference.
I have not
Tell a
faced it.
recent. which are
No, we filled it today itself.
No, I don't, as of now, not an issue.
As of now, we've not filled.
ठीक है. Date of audit, date of ownership is next
make
is,
a galat barpre.
if liable to audit under other than Income Tax Act, here also you need to give the details if you have been auditing under. So suppose you've done your GST audit before this audit is over. I think you should fill up this detail.
So you have your charity commissioner audit.
You have to give your
Public
Maharashtra Public Trust Act,
Public Trust
that you have to give, or the society registration, or the Indian Trust Act as the case may be, or Section 8. So Companies Act.
Yes. You can give.
Then particulars regarding the authors, founders, managers,
of the trust. Now this clause is new. Details of all authors, founders, members of the society. In this relationship, percentage of holding, whether resident, then ID code, address, mobile number, email address. All these are new. They were not there in the previous year's return. Because of that, so basically they are. So what I'm trying to come to is that what they want to do is they are trying to co-link each and everything. So you will give your ID number and you as an individual, your ID when you have filed your return is also there. So they can always cross match it. So suppose you are a trustee in 25 trust, they will be able to give that detail because based on this you are a trustee in 25 trust. Is that a factor? So these are the type of linkages that is happening at the back end by the AIR.
So only 13.3 is not here. Only you have to give here author, founder, and trustees and managers.
Correct.
13.3 has a different place.
It's at a different place.
Yeah, so that is different. Here only those.
What you read out?
Even if there are no more, then also you have to give the details.
So you have to give the details of all authors, founders, settlers, trustees, members of the society. Now the fact is, if you are a 50, 70, 60, 70-year-old trust, you would have your author, you would have a founder, you would have a trustee, you have many. So practically, many of us are doing something like you give the latest trustee details.
Yes.
But if you have been giving historically multiple details, please do not refrain from doing that, because if you start doing that, then they will throw a query again. So what you have already done, you continue. But going forward, probably they will come out with a clarification and they will say you have to give for this much.
This is founder also.
The reason for this is
If you fill up one trustee's detail also, the utility will take
it will take. It will
Yes.
take. It will take. That's what.
Founder already said founder. Now he's not a trustee. We have to mention the founder.
He's
Founder, he's not a trustee.
founder is always a founder. He will never.
Now he's not a trustee.
So if you ask me, technically yes.
This is founder also.
Technically,
Earlier
yes.
it was there,
Yes,
it is
yes.
alive.
But practically what happens is only the current trustees details are filled up over.
Now, so during the year.
So, Abhi, even if it is deceased.
We change the trustee. Then we have to put the both trustee, previous and new.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
During the year, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
During the year, whoever the first trustee, you should put it.
Just like in the Companies Act, directors from this date to this date.
You have recently put up your 12A in 21.
You will have to match.
You have
those.
filled up that entire detail over there. Same detail has to be put up over here. Same details were there in
So,
your 12A.
In 12, we have given a data only the current trustee, not the previous.
That's
Exactly.
okay. 12 never wanted it.
Yeah.
They wanted only
Now,
current.
the previous trustee,
Yes.
Only the current trustees are required. If you, that's technically, if you ask, they've asked everything.
So your trustee details, if you are a trust registered in Maharashtra, is there in 90 also. So you have to remember that you match your 90 and your. However, that 90, they have not clarified whether it has to be the trustee as on date or of the up to March. So again, another lacuna.
Just for clarification, the unique identification number and ID code are what?
So you need to write a PAN number or a Aadhaar.
Any of the PAN,
PAN or Aadhaar. They've given it in the instructions.
the instruction is elaborate. It's almost 180, 90 pages, but it's very good. Very good.
You have to read once only.
What do you mean?
Then you can carry out.
Huh? What do you mean?
The
by-
date of application.
In which,
Sorry, on the date of application.
Shareholding more than 5%.
Yeah.
Is on the date of application, the last.
वो application गलत है
12A.
वो 12A का आ गया है
It is referring to your 12A application. It is referring to your 12A application. It's not wrong. It is referring to your 12A application.
नहीं यहाँ नहीं आने का anyway we can
When it is asking shareholding is more than 5%.
Shareholding is more than 5%. So in a charitable trust, there is no shareholding. So if you fill up any figure over there, it will not allow you to go ahead saying that the total is not 100. So don't fill up that shareholding figure over there. Otherwise, it will stop you.
no, you can have a, sorry, Ashok, but you can have a Section 8 company with shareholding.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what you have to fill up here. So, Deepesh, I think what you said was, so we have one company, we have a Section 8 company with shareholding. There are two shareholders. We fill up the details of the two shareholders as of the date of application. I think is what they are referring to is the date of the return. So whatever is that detail, we need to fill that up. So I think today, if you see most of these hospitals and all, they are all run under Section 8 with shareholding.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what happens is the shareholding can be
Transfer.
anyway. We discussed that on offline, but okay. Beneficial owners, I think not relevant.
It is accepting blank shareholding.
Yeah.
It is accepted.
Why, if you are a trustee, this will not be required to be filled out.
Mostly it will be blank one. Very few
All
cases.
charitable trusts, only Section 8 with share companies will get covered.
Very few only will come.
Substantial contribution. That
Name of the yeah, this now clause C.
But wait, sardar.
That is a sardar which you have. So what have you done historically first? Because this is not new. This was there in the earlier. So if you have been continuously giving earlier years detail, continue.
not given.
Not given.
Continue.
Don't give.
But no.
No, now you are filling up 10 BD where you are giving those names and PAN numbers which will match
So-
with your trustee's PAN number.
And there are one more area where this is correct. Ashok bhai is perfectly correct. So they will erase a query. And in your 10 BD, there are some donors. So only for trust with ATG, but without ATG, still they are open. So those trusts which have got ATG, they have to be more careful and see to it that they have to fill up these details of 50,000 and above. Otherwise, there could be a query, but obviously it's not going to be so material, but it could have a query. Second place which you have to keep in mind is that on 10th August, there was a notification where they clarified 17 AAA or AAA books of accounts to be maintained by a trust, in which they have made it mandatory to maintain details of substantial contributors to the trust more than 50,000. If you have not maintained the books of accounts, it is a violation. So going forward, we cannot say कि मेरे को जूना data मालूम नहीं था, so I have not filled it. So that is going to be a challenge in itself. But that is for AY 23-24. So we will have one more study circle meeting, and we will decide it at that time.
Sure.
No, but that day we discussed that.
No.
I think there might be some result. The principal chief secretary, we had a roundtable meeting.
Correct.
We have said this 50,000 limit is since more than 30 years.
Yeah.
So 50,000 nowadays is no value as compared to the present scenario. We ask for either 10 lakhs or delete it.
So next is the name of the relatives of all the above contributors, founders, everyone. I don't think if they have written it is required, but
Actually 13.3 covers.
33 covers.
That's why they're asking those issues.
If you are a trustee, your wife, your son, your uncle, your auntie, or
That is thick, but contributors.
even contributors they have written. So I think
Who are contributing to the trust?
yeah, even contributors. So suppose Ashok bhai donates 1 lakh to my trust. I have to give details of him. His in 13.3 and his wife, his son, his brother, everyone in the relatives.
Only detail photo.
Right. Practically, if everyone fills up, I think there's going to be a system crash at the software backend.
It is not possible. All trust. Okay.
So they will come out with some amendment. So basically, what they want is ultimately they'll come out that AS 18 is applicable to a charitable trust related party transaction. Please report it separately.
Then we may
next year. Next is schedule. Yeah. So this takes care of the part A general. We've taken almost 40 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes to do. But I think we covered a lot of points. So it was good. The rest ones we'll go quickly where we need to break, we'll break again. Detailed schedules to the return of income. Now in this, this is basically related to your 11-2 accumulation. All the details for, sorry.
So with regard to schedule,
yeah.
So while he has his lunch, I'll just. So this is a schedule I. This was already there in the previous return also. So there's nothing new to it. So amount of accumulated, purpose of accumulation, amount applied for charitable, religious, and this thing, balance amount, and amount applied for charitable or religious, scientific, statistical. So you have those columns. Any specific thing you want to bring out?
Yeah. What has happened is column numbers 7 and 8 are new. Amount applied for purpose other than for which amount was accumulated. Okay, the moment you fill up this column,
It will become taxable.
it will become taxable. Okay, this was not there in the earlier. So this, they're putting googlies without telling you कि googly aa raha hai. Second is amount credited or paid to any institution registered under 12A, AB, approved, and even the same. That is also a new clause. So these,
So basically what happens is under 11.2, you're not supposed to give donations.
Correct.
out of
Corpus
that. No, you're not supposed to give donations.
No. 11 to
So
not
11
by
to-
at all.
11 to out of 11 to
This
you
is-
are not.
You are supposed to spend it yourself.
so
If
this
you
is
fill
not
up any
11 to-
amount in 7 or 8, it becomes directly taxable. Okay. So there is also this problem where if you, as soon as you fill up amount in 15, 16, and there is an amount balance, it will go straight to 11B, 11.3 and make it taxable. In your
That's why we are asking
part
for-
B total income.
Correct. So just to share here, if you see the number of years is 6 years. 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21. Okay. So 15, 16 is lapsing and then it is up to 6 years. So what it also reaffirms is 11.2 accumulation can be spent in the 6 year up to AY 22, 23. Effective AY 23, 24, it will not be because they amended 11.3. And in the next year, so if you see the next slide, can you just go to the next slide, please?
2 years together.
Go now. If you see the slide, in 15, 16, they have blocked out 10, 11, 12. So whatever is the balance amount straight gets taxable from column 9 to column 30 straight away. Whereas for next year, you will have this gray in 10, 11, 12, in 16, 17 and 17, 18. So please take care wherever there are accumulations in the March 23 financial year ended, you will have to spend accumulation of 2 years, financial year 16, 17 and financial year 17, 18. If you are not able to, then it will be straight away liable to tax. Second, one more clause that I would like to share here is, if you see column 3, it says purpose of accumulation. Just go back, sorry. The purpose. This purpose should match with form 10 that you have filed. So please be careful. In form 10, you've written, mere ko building banane ka hai. You want to make a building and you've written there, and here you write purchase of vehicle or purchase of fixed assets or purchase of something. So you please try and match it, because at the time of assessment or audit, they could raise this as a claim. So your form 10 should match with the purpose. So this is a very important clause, because there are 1 or 2 cases where there were reopenings because of this clause.
We can mention this as a useful subject.
I wanted to, but I think if we discuss that one point, it will take 1 hour, because we are talking of specific over general. There are multiple
decision and
department uses Singhania and we use other provisions. So let's. However, there is an SLP Akshardham which has been dismissed, where they have said that even if it is a general purpose, it's allowed. But I don't think you should do that. You should be specific, because the intent. See, I'll tell you one thing. Sorry, again, I'll just go off first. In the last 7 to 8 years, if you realize, 11.6 came in, 25% became 15%. 11.7 came in, 10.23 went, 40A 1A came in, depreciation got disallowed. All these were beneficial provisions that assessees were using. House property, so take under income from house property, take 30% and then offer under. So all these, that's why they said no 10. Gradually, so what they are clearly moving towards is that don't misuse the provisions, or you go. What is the principle behind 11, 12, 13? The principle is, I am giving you exemption, so you spend 85. If you are not able to spend 85, you pay tax on it. And that is why they are reducing the provisions one by one. So I would advise you, since you are aware, please don't write general object. You be write 5 things if you want, write 7 things.
First year, this year, we have excess fund.
Yeah,
So we keep this fund because of next year we will not get better commission.
correct.
This is for a revenue expense.
So
We'll have 9A, no?
9A.
you fill up 1 year. So you fill up 9A. You will apply if it's for.
No. Specific purpose is for only 11 to
This is for
1 year.
clause 1 year
So
next
why do
year.
you want to accumulate for revenue for 5 years?
I think
I think we should pass
we
this.
will take it offline.
Yeah,
One more thing, one more issue. From next year onwards, this is going to be taxed at 30%.
Yes.
In 115 BBI. So if you are not going to be, if your trust is not going to be able to spend it,
Specific violation.
specific violation next year आ जाएगा 30% लगेगा. So if you can somehow spend it in this year or offer it for taxation this year, we should do it.
And it is better if you only offer it for tax, otherwise penalty 271 में
इसमें problem है utility का fill up करा रही है.
हाँ.
Particular fill up this schedule I you have to fill up. उसमें second भी इनकम देना पड़ता है because this income tax side so the error D1 part D1.
So in this column number 11 is linked. It will link to this.
B1
Yes.
6
Yes.
under column 6.
Correct.
But इधर जब हम figure डालते हैं तो it's for the negative मतलब loss में दिखा रहा है computation.
So then there is something technically you have done then. So loss with decomposition I
Loss में
need
नहीं
up to the extent of income only you have to show application.
Zero कर देगा.
वो revenue expenditure को कम करके दिखाना. Suppose you have
Same problem
expenditure.
with the
If you have
borrowings,
expenditure which is more than your income, then you have to utilize the revenue expenditure only to the extent of income.
So now I'll explain to you what is the problem. The problem is that you've shown certain expenditure in the revenue ER. The same expenditure you've also shown as 11 to adjust. Then also it will give you this same error. So if I have
Yeah,
five
yeah.
also, that if you have 5 lakh rupees as an expenditure, out of that 2 lakhs is towards 11 to 3 lakhs is towards revenue. What happens is when you fill up the ER, you fill up the entire expenditure because you take up the income expenditure and you start filling up. Then when you come to this schedule, you put 2 lakh rupees,
Mismatch.
then it will give you a mismatch.
Correct. Anyway, this we can discuss offline. If you have an issue, you let us know. I'll specifically help you.
Anything else?
Yes. In this next 22 amount deemed to be income will get picked up straight away and go under taxability part B TTI, part B TI. Okay. Income chargeable under 11(3). Here it becomes straight away.
It will get picked up directly over here.
If there is a mismatch, it will immediately not match. So you have to be careful. So the schedules are the source from which part B TI is created. Okay, you don't have to, except for a few columns of part B TI, everything is picked up from the schedules. Then schedule next one. Go next.
D.
Now schedule D. This is an entirely new schedule. This was never there earlier. And this has got one provision which has never been looked at. There are some blind spots in the provision of law 11, which have also to be filled in. Here, you have to give your details of 11(1)(a), explanation 1, 11(1), explanation 1, subclause 2, 1 and 2. So 2(1) is what? Is that if you have not received the income, you can accumulate it. And 2(2) is for any other reason. So like your case, you said that you don't know. So you accumulate for 1 year, which is under Form 9. But there is another option in 9A for the fact that the income is not received. In the case the income is not received, it will be considered as income only in the year you actually receive it, and you will be able to spend it in that year that you received and in the subsequent year. That provision was, so basically I'll give you an example, it will be easier. In our case, we have one trust which has got an accumulation from AY 1890 in Form 9A. In Form 9, what happens is for the reason, we have given the reason for amount not received. And till date, we have not received that amount. So we can continue it under 9A till date. Now for the year ended 19, 20, 21, we did not have to disclose this detail anywhere in the return. Now they will pick that up. And this is the reason they have got this clause. The drop down give you the option. If you see the drop down, they'll say for any other reason or under subclause 1 or subclause 2. The moment you take one, it will go further. I think you have that other return where, no, where we filled up the details. Anyway, so let's not do that. So what will happen is, let's go through this one only. So let's say you decide to click on the second one, 2122 is the normal second provision, subclause 2, explanation 2. But the first one is dropped down, and amount deemed to be applied during the previous year of deeming will be the amount that you have accumulated. Let's say you accumulated 10 lakh rupees. Reason of deeming, you will write income not received. See, there are two options, income not received and any other reason. So if you click on income not received, then out of the deemed amount required to be applied during the pertaining to current assessment. If you have received, this will come in. This will not come in if you have not received the income. So this will be a dash. Amount of deemed application claimed in earlier years applied during the financial year pertaining to current year. This is where you get the second year of application for the first one, where is income not received. An amount which could not be applied and deemed to be income under 11(1)(b). This will be 4 minus 5, which is the balancing fee. And the last column is the most important. Balance amount of deemed income being exemption claimed in earlier years on account of deemed application and required to be applied in 22-23 and onwards. Please understand, 22-23 onwards is the word. So if you click on A in column 3, that income is not received, you will have this option of onwards. If you click on B for any other reason, only 22-23, this onwards option.
23. Next year.
Yeah,
Next year, that's it.
Financial year.
it is written.
It is your financial year. So this is a new provision because what was happening from the department assessment that we have attended, we were getting this thing that many people were doing it under subclause 1. It goes on and on. It is not there anywhere in the return. It's a silent paper that is lying somewhere. And an officer is assessing 300 files, 500 files. He doesn't even know. So they will never be able to match it, and it was getting out of the tax net. So to cover that loop, they brought this provision.
Well, it is not there in even 10B.
It is not there anywhere.
No.
No, 10B for the year it's there, but
For the year it is
earlier
there.
10B doesn't have a
Subsequent.
Subsequent coming.
see, if you
See, the whole idea is, supposing I have pulled up something in say 1920, saying that I'll carry it forward to the next year. I was supposed to receive the MD in 2 years. I matured it in 21-22. The department does not have the wherewithal to find out whether I filled up that form. So if I don't show it, there is nothing which they will be able to identify. So therefore, then they have brought this particular table over here, and probably as per the CAG report, they are going to amend the 10B also to include all these things in the next year.
even
It's in the process.
in fact, even in Schedule I, just 1 minute, I'll go back to that. Is no need to go there. Is if you see the form 10 that we are filling up for accumulation under 11.2, they have started asking 2 more columns. It is starting of the year and up to which period. Now, in that, suppose you say I want to accumulate only for 3 years, and if you have written 3 years there, and after 3 years you forget that you had written 3 years there, and you say either carry forward karo, you could have. Probably in the next round of amendments, they are going to say give the date, start date, end date here also. So if you see the form 10, it will be there. It's there in the form.
Already the AI is there to correlate it with your 9s.
So in Schedule D, where you said that the previous year's 9A has been filed, right? So but you are selected only 21, 22. I need to select it if it's, in your case, you say from financial year 18, 19 and onwards, I'm carrying it forward. So I need to mention all
Yes.
the years.
Yes, that year will, that drop down is the reason they've given it. We filled up one form just yesterday,
Okay.
specifically to test it. So it was 17, 18, we had, I think it gives up to 15, 16, 17 or 15. So I don't know what happens if it is before that. So I don't have an answer to that question.
And
So before Vipin asked that question, I was going to say that I don't know the answer.
Balance be applied.
And there is no restriction in that.
It's already applied, you don't need to worry about it.
So that's why they, I think the form, yeah. If you have already applied, then no need to. But if there is a balance, So effectively, I'll give you practical. Suppose you had a 1780, year ended 1780, and you received it in, let's say, March 20. Okay? So you are supposed to spend it in, or let's March, in the year ended March 20 and March 22. If you have not, then in March 22, it will become tax. That's next is Ashok, you want to take up schedule J? Everything you want to take up schedule J?
J, you say, I am only problem.
Okay.
As you complete the list.
We just start it.
Simultaneously.
Could you check up schedule J? Schedule J.
So, yeah. So schedule J was already there previously. They've only amended it to make it more detailed. So you have the opening balances received,
Loans and borrowing.
Applied during the year, amount invested or deposited back into the corpus, which was earlier applied and not claimed as application. Financial year in which it was applied earlier. Closing balance on 31st March. Invested in more in 11.5. Invest more other than this. As soon as you fill up other than this, it will become taxable.
Generally, it's not.
No, generally it is not. So, but you have, so the people, one more thing which we've come across in people invest in mutual funds. Okay, mutual funds, there is no general permission that all mutual funds are allowed. There is a specific certificate to be taken for mutual funds, and whether if it is only covered by that certification for 12 trust, then only that mutual fund is covered under 11.5. Otherwise, it is not covered. So, in one of two of the trusts recently, we had to tell them that this is a violation of 11.5, and you need to liquidate it because the investment was in mutual funds which were not as per the certificate issued by the commissioner. So therefore, one has to look at that mutual fund aspect which was there. Anything you want to ask?
Yeah, mutual fund 11.5 doesn't say anything. 11.5 says all mutual funds.
All.
So there is no.
There is no bound.
But I think there is.
See,
Rule
another,
Rule provides that
specified rules.
you have to have specific permissions. Now, if there is a charitable trust registered with Maharashtra Public Trust Act, Charity Commissioner, then there also there is a section 35 which says that they have to take the permission. So we have to see that both the places it is permitted. So we have to check that.
So in the if you are a Maharashtra or Gujarat registered trust, you have to take care of 35 of the Maharashtra Public Trust Act and 11.5. But if it is in violation of 35 and still it is in 11.5, you will still not have an issue as such for corpus investment, because in 11.5 is the last limit, 13th one is any other mode. And in any other mode, we have prescribed.
Yeah.
There is a prescription where 1023D is covered. So basically, all mutual funds are covered here. But subsequently, if you see there is a notification, there are some 40 notification issued by the CIT, wherein each and every mutual fund that is approved is listed. So we have a list, I think we have some 25 or 26 mutual funds which have been approved. So ideally, we tell the client, mutual fund karna hai, karo, no problem. Practical approach. Technically, they can do any mutual fund. Practically, just do it under the notified one which is governed by the commission. So that you are in a far safer mode. Why do you want to go to ITAT and win the matter? As simple as that. When you can do it at the, and it's not going to make a difference whether you are in ICICI in large cap or matter is only what 1% here or there.
The mistakes are done.
So that is the only point where, however, if you are FCRA registered, then mutual fund is not allowed.
At all.
Allowed, it is
Not
So you
allowed
have
at all.
yes.
So, see very clearly that if the FCRA registration not allowed, but that is concerned to only FCRA income funds. If you have FCRA as well as other funds, so other funds can be used. So that is now loans and borrowings. In fact, my actual case where I am facing this problem.
Oh, okay. So if just 1 minute before that on corpus part, because
Yes,
the
complete.
corpus, this is A1. So in A1, that is the details of corpus, it gets covered. So column 4, amount invested or deposited back into corpus is straight away connected to BTI. And you'll get a statement of income. So this is the volume amount of, so that will be allowed as an application. Just click that, it will go into BTI. In 3A, 6.3A, amount applied during the previous year, invested or deposit back into specific modes.
Will you zoom it?
It's modes other than 11.5.
Okay. Then closing balance, which is, come back with me. Closing balance as on 31/3/22. This will be straight away an item which will match with the balance sheet. So in balance sheet, own funds, whereas 1A, 1B, and 1E, they have to match with the figures here. 30, the A1 in closing balance, go back, and one below. So this is for Dharamshalas, and the one below is for other trusts. One more point I would like to share with you here is, Ashok rightly said about clause 4, which gets picked up as income if it's done. You will have a situation, if you have applied corpus, you will have a situation where your balance in corpus here will be different from the corpus that you are reflecting in the balance sheet. Suppose you have opening balance of corpus of 1 crore rupees. You have received 50 lakh rupees. Out of that 50 lakhs, you applied 10 lakh rupees. So you will write 1 crore opening. Just go down to the. Here you write 1 crore. No. You'll write in that B, part B. Let's say you're a part B trust, other than the religious trust. Okay. So you will write 1 crore as your opening balance. 50 lakhs is received during the year. 10 lakhs is applied during the year. So your closing balance here will be 140. And your balance sheet will show how much? 150. Correct? Because even if you have applied, corpus is corpus. What they have here. And what is the amount you have invested? 140. To the extent of 10 lakhs applied during the year. The provision of the law says that it will be allowed as corpus in the year in which you reinvested back into the corpus. So, but in the schedule ER,
There is a column for source of funds where you've got the.
no, the problem is that they have not. So what happens to the 10 lakhs? So my question here for the audience and for the panels is, what happens to the 10 lakhs? Currently, when you fill up the return, if you have put 10 lakhs in application, the amount gets taken straight away as part B TI and becomes taxable, which is contrary to, it is not contrary actually, I am not yet sure it is contrary. It is contrary only, because no, it says that it will be allowed as application in the year in which you correct.
Here it will
So
be disallowed.
it will be disallowed.
Proposition of law is a corpus promotion, you cannot incur revenue expenditure.
Correct. But if
So
you have
it will not be
but
allowed as application of
if you have no. So the my contention is, if you have applied it, it is not that does not mean that it. So if it is not, if you have suppose applied it, then you are not allowed to consider it as application. So that is the wording of the law.
But
So it should not.
11(1)(d).
So but it should not be considered as income and liable to tax. That is and that is what the this thing is doing. What do you call that? The software, whatever the for utilities.
No, you will get 11(1)(d).
We get 11.1B.
11(1)(d) you will get, but application will not be allowed. No, application is postponed.
But so
Utility will show 10 lakhs as income.
That is, see, that is
No, no,
a
no.
utility problem.
No, that's what
So
we are
that is-
discussing the
But
ITR. na?
but the provisional is your,
No,
They
that is what he's
they are
saying.
not conversant with this law.
that's what.
So, no, but one second. So the criteria
us-
is, open the utility. Open the utility. We'll do a sum,
With,
we'll
Server
show you.
office one.
It doesn't take you at a income. It doesn't take you. What it takes as income, I'll explain to you. Supposing you have, currently you received 50 lakh rupees as donation and you show as corpus donation and you show 11.5 investment of only 40 lakh rupees and it goes to others. Then it gets hit by
Then it
BPA.
gets picked up.
Picked
Then
up.
it gets taken away.
Then it gets picked up. It doesn't get picked up from here.
Here it will show mismatch.
Mismatch. It will show mismatch. It will not get taxable. It will show mismatch. So before we all gathered, there was a discussion about that mismatch. So that mismatch which you are talking about is this. So because those figures don't tally according to the logic provided in the utility. However, you will have to just ignore it and go ahead. But if you get that, you have to first check whether that is the exact thing which is there, because there could be a lot of figures which you might not match before you do it. So, and the entire return is linked. Entire return is linked from schedule to the BTI and
Correct.
to the balance sheet. And to the balance sheet.
The balance sheet figures are not matching. There is.
So I'll tell you another practical thing. Again, I think it's okay to discuss here. What happens is, if you have spent the 10 lakh rupees, and if you are getting an issue about the taxability on this, the better approach is to not take it as corpus.
No, voluntary.
Take it as a voluntary contribution. Get the benefit of 15% also.
Accounting is to be
And-
done accordingly.
And accounting has to be done. Obviously, it should have been done by now. Now you can't do it.
Now you can't.
Now you can't do it. Now the balance sheet, now it is already over.
That time is gone.
That time is gone. That time is gone.
Still,
Now only practically one check of 50 lakhs is received.
yes.
Then it's, yeah. So that is okay. You can have a letter. That can be done. But anyway, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Let's not get into those areas.
Very simple. 10 BD form, you must have filled up corpus or
Other
general.
terms.
Yes.
So there
So
now
that
you
is if you are
cannot,
ATG.
you cannot change it, and you should not.
No, you should not.
Whatever the problem comes, because there you have already shown as a corpus.
So as to regard this corpus,
But
this
you can
10
change.
lakhs,
You are permitted to change.
corpus received, this 10 lakhs is an issue, but for opening it is sorted out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Opening they have sorted.
Sorted.
That is not taking now as a income.
But this 10 lakhs also, they should not
It
take.
is not taking as income.
No,
It is
it is
showing a
saying-
mismatch. It's
No,
showing a
mismatch.
mismatch.
FD, no.
If
FD
you have not
example.
done, it will have.
Ah.
So it is a violation. So when you fill up, so one of the things which you should keep in mind, supposing it is lying in my bank account itself,
That is also.
that is also an investment as per 11.5.
Yeah, correct,
What
correct,
happens?
correct.
So that needs to go there at 11.5.
Say
No.
I have.
Closing the-
Complete your.
I'll come. Anyway, questions yet late. Okay, so what happens is, supposing I have 50 lakh rupees of corpus donation. I have kept 40 lakhs in FD, 10 lakh rupees I want to spend, so I've kept it in my saving bank account, which is also a nationalized bank. Where you fill up this table, you have to see that in the investment in 11.5, you fill up full 50. If you fill up 40 and it goes to the other column 10, then you become taxable.
Yes. So basically, you have to see your balance sheet asset side, land, building, and the 11.5 item, and match the
Match.
accounts.
One more thing.
Because current account is also a mode of investment.
Yes.
That is Madras High Court.
Yes,
Yeah.
But they have said bank balance.
Bank
Deposit in
balance,
bank. This is saving and current.
Current has
nothing
nothing to do. Bank
nothing to do
balance
with
itself
that.
is.
There was no need to go to court, but must have addition. If there is one more thing now, there is an amendment that is applicable now, assessment year 22-23, that you have to specifically shown as a corpus investment. So in a given case, 40 is fine, it is in FD, you can show corpus FD that, but if it is in bank balance, then what practical approach I am doing in my office is bank balance, other receipts so much, corpus amount deposited so much and total. So it is reflected. And in the current year, I am specifically asking them to put it into FD. So that your this year's return, because you have to show bank balance is also 11.5, but you have to reflect specifically 11.5.
We are talking about J.
So Schedule J. So Schedule J, if you see A1, if you the corpus logic is what the same logic which is applied for loans and borrowings. So if you apply the same logic, practically this is what will happen.
What we'll do is now we have very less time before because there's an interesting case study which Deven has prepared, which is really important.
Complete this.
Yeah, so we'll complete it fast. We'll not take any questions until he completes the return. If you have something, we'll take it offline so that we are at least able to take the case study, which is very interesting and it's very important.
Details of investment made under
loans and borrowing. Practically, I have seen there are mismatches. Because in our one case, there was an opening balance in crores loan, new loan is taken, old loans are repaid, closing balance is there. There is a excess spending. Revenue expenditure is just 23 lakhs and the loans repayment taking are in crores. So whatever situation we were feeling, whether net amount received or repaid, whether gross amount repaid and loan new taken separately, everywhere there was a mismatch. Still, I am unable to match that. The only option with us is if other things are correct, then we can ignore that mismatch and go ahead. Now, only my concern is, I would like to see that why it is we are leaving on them that it is mismatch. There must be some way why they are asking all these things, but I am saying that we could not find any combinations. It was mismatch.
Okay.
So you're gonna get these mismatch messages at the end of when you go to file the return, even if the utility has verified it, you will have to ignore it. If it is not read, you can ignore it and file the return.
That's it. That's the only.
If it is not read,
if it gets read, then you will not be allowed to file the return.
Then if they ask, you have to explain.
So part B, Schedule J, details of investments under 11.5. If you see the part B's Roman 1, that's 30. That's linked to the balance sheet straight away. That is the corpus representing donations received for repairs, then other than 1. So the 34, 35 will be where you have to match it with the own funds in balance sheet. So you just
here what has happened is they've given an advantage. Till last year it was the opening balance of every date of maturity and all of that. Now you have to give a lump sum figure, which life has become easier over there.
No, so this balance sheet that you are punching in is what the balance sheet that you have signed. You cannot be filling in anything else. Correct? So you cannot tweak figures in liabilities and everything. You have your corpus, you have your funds, you have your income and expenditure account, your creditors, and your other advances or whatever. Those have to be filled in. Own funds, which is corpus, that's the reason they want you to match it. Which is where if you have the situation which I told you, you'll have a mismatch issue, which you'll have to ignore and go. Remember when I told you 140 and balance sheet showing 150? That's when there might be a mismatch issue, because when you show your sources of own funds, this should match with this. So to that extent, there could be a mismatch. And 35 is done. And income accumulated under 11.2. Please be very careful. Could you go back to the part? Yeah. Here it has to match with your 11.2 amount.
Where you are reading?
So it should be matching with your Schedule J.
Schedule J, B.
Okay.
So if your Schedule I that we did, remember in the first schedule, that total has to match with this 11.2. Okay. Then income of earlier is up to 15%. This should be the parking figure. This should be the parking figure.
11.5 is applicable 15%. The trust fund?
No.
Not applicable.
Because
Whatever.
11.5 is applicable to the entire trust.
Entire.
You can't have a violation of
It is a
11.5.
violation.
Trust fund is applicable 11.5?
So 11.5 means 11.2 funds, no?
No, if I am accumulating the 15%,
Ah.
2.5 lakh, whatever is the amount, is going to my trust fund.
Ah.
It's not 11 to 11.1.
Ah.
So that trust fund is under 11.5.
It has to be, all investment has to be under 11.5.
11.5 is investment.
11, 12, 13 is a code in itself.
Even or
So
not.
11.5 starts with that no trust is allowed to make any investment other than those listed in
Even
11.5.
trust fund.
So 11.2 is what? What is 11.2? Is that I have not spent the money, I will spend it. So you say I buy land. Now buy land is 11.5 item. But to buy land, what will you do? I will park it in FD or I will park it in something here.
11.2 I can, this is, we can park it.
Huh.
Yeah,
Whatever the
11,
trust fund,
15%
So
also.
it has to be 11.5 items only. Only 11.5.
That 15% accumulation is free from any condition.
That's the free from.
But
Yes,
11.5
means आपका FD में रोकना या क्या करना, but all surplus should be 11.5. You cannot
Correct.
invest other than 11.5.
Yes, yes, yes.
And there is no provision in accounting also to pass that entry because you don't know what will the 15%.
Okay.
So 11.5 is complete applicable to entire trust. Okay, or your section 35 of the
11.23.
Maharashtra's Public Trust Act is applicable to the trust. You can't have a investment
Other
in
than that,
violation of 11.5 or 35.
only if you have.
If you have it, then you lose your 12-way
No, you have to take a
registration.
specific permission. Anyway, let's not go there. That's
One
what
more, there is one more exception in that. If you have received those shares or those assets
pre-1962.
73.
73.
Before 73, then you can continue. Even bonus shares issued thereafter also will continue to be 11.5 investment. That the cutoff date is there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
You are in balance sheet?
No, balance sheet will come now.
Come now.
Schedule C, investment in 33 items, we will ignore. Other investments, we will ignore. Yes.
Very much.
Part balance sheet. Balance sheet is, we actually, while we were discussing that, we kept linking it here. So
Let's
that
go
but once
to
again you can link.
E ma jaate. Kind ma. Donation in kind.
balance sheet पर देखिए.
नहीं, schedule J.
Schedule
हाँ.
J.
So balance sheet is okay. Anyone
नहीं,
else? No.
नहीं,
It's completely new. It was never there earlier.
नहीं, but
He's talking about this schedule J.
E.
E.
That
Sorry.
is
I missed out. Yeah, sir, please go ahead.
No, see,
So if you have, yeah,
donation received in kind, it is no cost to the trust. How to bring it to the books? So way back, I think in 60s, Institute has in its guideline has suggested you pass the entry in books of account at the nominal value. So we were taking it nominal value means 1 rupee. Or it's a bigger one is 101 rupee or something nominal value. And you pass the entry. Now, this schedule says, and rightly so, because I was not personally convinced with this guidelines. If you are receiving an item worth, say computer you have received now 40,000 rupees computer you have received an ambulance of 10 lakhs. If you pass the entry at 1 rupee, it's absurd. So you should pass at the market value. And this schedule is asking now the value of contribution donation. So now it is very clear now that you have to take it as the present value the day on which you have received. So you should ask for the bill if it is the donor has got. If you have something which is computer, then you can ask some engineer to give you a valuation. It can be this much. Something documentary evidence you keep and then you pass the entry in books of accounts. Then you can bring it to the.
And you'll also get the benefit of 15%.
But is it for the donation received in the current year or even the?
Kind.
Only
The year
current
in
year.
which
Your assessment year 20 to 23 only. Whatever is gone is gone.
contribution received during the year.
If we received any property from the donor.
Yes.
Okay, then we have. But the investment we are not converting.
Immovable property is itself is 11.5.
So you have to mention the value of the.
Yes. So suppose you have received some donation in kind, which is
Shares.
not. So let's say you received a computer. Then you say I received for 40,000, and it should value of contribution applied towards object. You show 40,000 and you are sorted out. But if you have received something which is like shares, but that's it won't come in donation in kind. No?
Yes.
It will be in a donation in kind only. Yeah. So shares or some other items which are not no use to you, then you are supposed to sell the asset, receive the money, and invest that in under most prescribed under.
No, we have to take income and expenditure.
In the
Yes.
next year,
Yes.
after the year.
It has to go.
Directly or debit to each asset.
You debit it, then where will you
Next
credit?
year.
Where will you credit?
Suppose you have received in December,
So
so
I have to
3 months
income
this and
plus
next.
expenditure both have to the same amount.
For the donations received in kind, we'll have to issue Form 10BE also.
Yes, it is there in the form. No? There is a form 10BD
And
specifically
in
asked for
kind.
it.
They are
Donation
asking
in
in
kind.
kind.
Specifically asked
See,
for
we
it.
need to give corpus, general and in kind. There are 3 main divisions. There you have to give. And this should match that.
The books.
Yes.
Educational institute or in library.
Yes.
If we get the books, so how application part will.
So if you get an educational books or in the library, one sec, it will be income and it will be debited to library, which is a fixed asset.
Okay.
So it will be application is done and income is also open. No problem. Suppose you receive it and you donate it to children. Then also is done, income is done, and all you have to get is a valuation or a bill, it gets certified that the books are worth rupees so and so. They are going to be not very, they are not going to be stringent on it, but you have to just maintain some sort of documentation. कि भाई ये पैसा मिला था. Suppose you receive grocery, old age home. Every old age home receives every month ton loads of food.
This intention is that voluntary contribution donation received in kind, but not converted into investment in specified and item.
If not utilized. The problem is they did not write that, but they implied it. They implied it by the column
If you
3.
receive some, if no,
Column 4.
So if you look at it, only if it is not converted into 11.5. So if you applied it, it is out.
It is out. It is out.
And simple way, you take it as a current year's income and application.
Application.
So your problem is solved.
Sir, अभी पेपर में बहुत marks बाकी है.
Balance sheet, no, balance sheet, I think once again. That will
You
be
can revise 10B.
balance sheet में वो 15% का क्या?
I'll explain to you that 15.
Please go ahead.
Balance sheet ले लेते हैं.
Yeah.
The balance sheet is a new. Just open the balance sheet. No. So balance sheet is a new area. ना? Balance sheet is a new thing. Now there is a lot of issues with regard to this balance sheet because what you have with regard to the corpus, at least corpus and reserves, there is a big issue.
Sorry.
So there are a lot of issues with regard to. So first part talks about corpus out of donation received for renovation of repair of places notified under this. So this is in a very rare case where if you are a notified item and notified ATG 2B as a notified statewide recognition, then you are.
Where it is?
Corpus out of donation received in renovation of repair of places of notified. So if you are then only it is. The other corpus is the most important. It says it comes from Schedule J. If you just click, yeah. So it comes from Schedule J. Okay. Now it generally should match with Schedule J. If it does not match with Schedule J, it will give you that blue light which is there. Okay. It does not stop you from filing the return, but it gives you an indicator that this is not matching. Okay. It might not match due to various reasons. One, you have past corpuses which are already applied. So there could be an issue about that. And therefore, now you will have to look at how you can match that on case-to-case basis. Second is that income accumulated out of non-mandatory application. So if you have a bifurcation where you have money which is accumulated on 15% and the surplus which is an income expenditure and that you added to corpus, you could write it over here. Okay, it could be your income expenditure surplus over here. Okay, and it could also be in the other reserves. So there is a last other reserves also. So some people are writing that 15% as income expenditure balance. Others are not writing anything over there because that bifurcation over the years is not available with me. So as of now, our office is leaving it blank and putting it into other reserves and putting income expenditure in other reserves in the amount. Okay, so that
C and D covers 11.2 and 11.
yeah, so C and D covers 11.2.
Sorry, D and E. D is 11.2.
Yeah.
And E is 11.3. Sorry, E is 11.1A.
See again, once again, please. 15%, which was accumulated earlier.
No, so
And that
what
has gone to,
no, so what happens is every year you are accumulating 15%.
yeah.
That accumulation, if you kept it separately
Hmm.
and you have a figure for that, you can put it over here.
But then we are not keeping it.
I don't think
Yeah,
majority of
yeah.
anyone is keeping such a detailed.
You see what happens. I'll tell you the reason why it is not there. The reason is even if you've done an 11.1 or an 11.2, in your balance sheet, you will say surplus carried forward and you have an income and expenditure and the entire amount is in there. So if you ask me theoretically, if your income and expenditure should be the sum total of CDE, specific is if you have a debris fund, vehicle fund, building fund, XYZ, that will be AB. A is clearly corpus. E will be that. CDE will be your income and expenditure account. Effectively, that is what it is. Suppose I had a 11.2 of 1.5 crores, but my balance sheet will show surplus. For the another reason is I have done application of income. I am allowed capital expenditure, so I have applied it. But in the income and expenditure, it is showing as surplus because I spent say 50 lakhs for a machine. So in books of accounts, only 5 lakhs got depreciated. So 45 lakhs is showing surplus in income and expenditure, but here it is not there. So those mismatches are the reason you have CDE. So the practical is income and expenditure is the creation of these differences, which is impossible to match and reconcile. And if you go deep down into like from the start of a trust, if you do it, you can still do it. But for the new ones, for the old ones, very difficult.
So if you are running a trust from last,
Put it in the F column. And then this,
Not F.
not F, sorry.
F, you have to put it in C column.
What?
F is specific
Sorry, C.
because F is a specific one. You be very careful. F,
Yeah.
you put in only, let's say you got money for vehicle fund. You got it for, say, staff welfare, or you got a gratuity. Some fund that you have created. Some fund you have created is what F is.
No, but sir said even income expenditure will come in.
I'm putting
No,
income
that is C.
expenditure.
It will come
That
under
would be
C.
part of C, sir.
C.
According to me,
No.
that should be part of C.
But that is
But
not
it-
15%. Na?
No, it is the
No. So
It
in
says-
some year I could have paid tax. So supposing I'll give you an example. So in 1 year I have not spent 85%. Still it will be in my income in my reserves only. Okay. If I have kept an 11.1A, that is my 9A form, still it will be in my reserves only.
correct.
Okay. So therefore, either you put it over there or you put a specific reserve saying income expenditure, what we are doing, but it's up to you. So in either
Yeah.
case, they will,
It should not be an issue.
it should not be an issue, and it is going to show a mismatch in any case. That mismatch at the end of the return is going to be shown because this figure will not tally with your J, will not tally with your D. So therefore, they are always going to show you a mismatch.
And excuse me, what about
नहीं रहता लोगों के अलग अलग हो तो
Total.
कहीं था
Yeah. So, correct. So basically,
yeah
corpus,
One second.
funds, and income and expenditure. These three total should be equal to this total.
and what about this other funds means development fund?
Yes. So we create a general reserve fund.
So
Contingency.
lot of
Contingency
these trusts have lot of these trusts. I have a trust which had today in the morning we were doing that. Here it had five or six items. Food fund, so that it's a blind school, a blind girl school. So it'll have a food fund, it'll have a building fund, it'll have a equipment, medical equipment fund, it has a braille fund, it has
Whatever,
six-
So that will go in F.
Yeah,
on
so
It's
this.
all going in.
entire thing we club together.
You can club it and write all other funds, all specific funds. If you for short of time.
Here you go further. I this advice to everyone. You have to prepare one balance sheet for ROC if Section 8 company, and one balance sheet if you are with the Charity Commissioner office, and mind it, one balance sheet for income tax.
In due course, you will have to do
You will
that.
have to then next year only.
Next year.
This
Next
year,
year,
ठीक है,
whatever you have not applied, whatever you have disallowed because of not being applied, You'll have to go and then do it.
Then you will have that control and correctness of filing the figures, because then you have to prepare accordingly. What they want, that way only funds are there, so they combine the funds and.
We are
bottom-
putting a combined fund.
Bottom
We are
line
not
is
even
charitable trust is
bothering
not
to-
only charitable work.
So,
That's all.
all other
For
funds.
chartered accountants especially.
So I'll tell you, without bifurcation, it's taking 45 minutes to fill this form. Okay, if you start giving bifurcations and then try to fill it up in, and usme bhi, if it does not, if you don't log out, so if you log out, your entire details are gone. So if you're filling up a utility, if you're filling up a utility, you practically fill up the return thrice before it actually goes through. Okay, so these are all practical things. When you go to the directly online filing, when you go for online filing, there are two options given. I know which schedules to fill, and I need guidance. Please go to the guidance one. If you say I know what schedules to fill, it will not allow you to blink on J. It will not allow you to click on certain schedules which are compulsory to be filled up. So you'll have to go back and say I do not know, and then you fill yes no, and you'll get those schedules. So you need to. These are all difficulties which you're going to have during this thing. And if online is the best, if you fill up in the utility, the chances are as soon as you close it, data will be lost. Data is lost. It means as of now, the utility which is there, as soon as you save and close it, the data is lost. You will have to fill the entire data again. In online also, when you fill it up, your audit detail goes off, your 12-way detail goes off. We have to reload it.
Yeah.
Next. Chalo. Yeah, so according to me, this is the only difficult part of the application. Whereas assets, I think everything is fine. In your investments, you have those three bifurcations which get links to your schedules. So therefore, you need to see that those figures match. But generally, they would match because you have only one figure of investment in this thing.
2A, 2B, 2C, they are given, no?
Yeah.
The savings bank balance has to be bifurcated between this investment and the line balance.
You will have to, otherwise it will not. If you have shown it under
Sure has shown you a way where you say the corpus fund is so much. So if you are doing it, you can put it up that bifurcation. Okay. So if you don't do it, it is a mismatch. It is not a red flag. It allows you to file the return.
Correct.
So we are not doing this as of today. But as sir said, if you do that, it is one red. That
blue
goes
comes
away.
Blue, red thing, blue.
But to explain to them also, then there is a chance.
No, it's, it will not get picked up. Unnecessary, it is a probability of pickups. So you have to live on probability. Probability also reduces if all the views are clicked off.
So now going to,
Every detail in the.
no. So now the life is easy. They asking you for one figure. So like unlike in the previous return, they used to have FD-wise detail of starting of the date and ending date and the rate of interest and all that. That is not asked. That is all gone. So you have one figure.
They realize it is useless.
But you have to give the number of FDs. So they technically ask you if you have done 100 FDs, you have to give all 100 FDs. But you write the total.
You write the total figure.
No, but their date of deposit they are asking.
Correct.
The date of maturity is not there.
So technically we are doing it in office, but for very, very big trusts with lots of FDs, we are making it monthly or some summary we have prepared.
No, supposing it is.
We already have the data.
I am doing only 1st April in all my trusts.
Okay.
I want okay. It is wrong. Yeah, it is wrong.
What
How
about
does it-
21?
Correct.
There are two questions, online question.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is not part of the exam.
Online
अच्छा,
Question answer बाद में.
अच्छा, नहीं क्या है?
It is mentioned with this. Would be HOA.
આમાં balance sheet માં એક મને point છે.
No, you can't have cash in hand of 50 lakh rupees in your. I don't think that's an issue.
बाहर से खोलेगा question देना.
It's an 11.5 item.
And there are few problems which we have put before the higher authorities. See, movable asset is also not covered, 11.5. So that is another big issue going to come. Another thing is cash on hand. The cash on hand is also not there in 11.5. So what you said, small amount up to, it's okay. Otherwise, if there is a big amount, then there may be a problem.
Movable property, not
No, 11.5 doesn't cover a movable body.
movable.
Movable तो है नहीं.
Information relates to shares in company. only.
Now, when things are so much boiling, so this is also required.
There is one suggestion that in the which we were discussing, you were asking us that whether share unlisted shares. So there's a suggestion online which says that it is talking only about shares in a company and not about shares in a cooperative society.
So that gets
That
Anonymity
will stand
gets resolved.
corrected. If I don't know what is the source, but
No, there was a question of cooperative.
yeah. So
Only
then we have incorporated Section 8 company and received order under Section 10 AC 2 weeks back. But since we did not spend all the contribution donation for objects, we do not want to take Section 11-12 exemption. Can we file return ITR 6 and take provision for unspent amount, and we have spent and that unspent amount in current year after filing return?
So basically, you will be liable to tax only on it if you have not filed it.
So there, no.
So, no, if that is if they are ready to pay, then they don't need to spend the unspent amount also. No?
That's what they want.
So then, if they want, they can do that also. So there's no.
I didn't get the question much, but
The question is not very clear.
yeah. So Vinod Kukreja has asked this question. The question is not very
Clear.
clear.
Called me today. What is the detail?
So if Mr. Kukreja could redraft it or something like that, we could be able to answer. What to put in date of investment if
Mr.
the
Kukreja,
summary
you
of
can call me again. We will discuss it personally and solve your problem.
what to put in date of investment if we summarize everything. So date of investment, as I said, whatever we are putting 1st April, but some people are preparing a list.
Yeah.
So he is preparing a list.
Better to
Yeah.
prepare if
Yeah. So yeah, going ahead, there are only 3 questions. Now the return besides this doesn't have much. We don't want to discuss it.
In 5 minutes, we just show.
Yeah, we can show.
In 5 minutes, I will do it.
one balance sheet.
ये भी है तो 10
Ashok,
में कर लो.
One contradiction I have found in balance sheet. Balance sheet sources of fund. A, small a, corpus out of donations received for renovation or repair of places notified under section so and so. The provision says different. And there was the impression that only notified temples are allowed that option. But if you read, I'll read the provision. It says, for the purposes of this section, where the property held under the trust or institution includes any temple, mosque, gurudwara, church, or other place are notified under clause 80G. So it means that those are also covered and notified also.
Okay.
Correct.
So I think this seems to be error because if everybody is allowed, so why there was need for a notified? If all the mosques and temples and churches were allowed, then why there was a need for mentioning notified?
So they were given 80G benefit, notified.
I think
No, my.
We'll take it offline. We'll
Yeah,
come
I
back
got it.
Here they are asking only
We got
notified.
it. We got it.
So
Yes.
there is a contradiction.
Correct.
Next.
Debit balance.
We'll do that offline now. Just finish that.
We'll finish. So
Yeah.
if you have a debit balance of your
Reduce from
from your income expenditure, you put it in other current assets.
Yeah. Because that they have not been able to solve that on. We raised the query.
Other current. They had raised it with the commissioner also. I
But
think.
yeah.
There's a current.
Other current. They've said other current assets.
Now schedule BC, okay, is voluntary contribution related. We discussed the whole thing. All these items are linked to the BTI. You just don't need to show it. All those marked in the box are all getting linked into the schedule for the calculation of it. And anonymous donation in the last one gets picked up as in the taxable part. So that's okay. Schedule AI. My only suggestion here is receipt from main object and receipt from incidental object. Even if you don't have something, be careful because then also they are raising queries. So try to see to it that some of your activity you show on the main object or under incidental objects if you have. If it's purely donation, it will come up, so no problem. Other than that, if you have, so suppose you have a trust which has only rental income.
That will come in the.
That will come only in red.
Yeah.
So you will have to, you could have an issue there. So just be careful on that. That's all. Just a word of caution.
For school, medical.
Yeah, they will have the activity. Yeah, they will all be under activity.
This is from main object.
From Bino.
Yeah.
Schedule ER. Okay, in Schedule ER, they have added remuneration to persons specified under 13.3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just touch on the points which are new. Everything else is the same. So 13.3, earlier it was only remuneration to trustees was given. Now it is covering 13.3. So the entire gamut of 13.3 is covered. Earlier only one subclause was covered. Then below clause C, expenditure not allowed as application. Just go below. Yeah. This whole thing is a new thing. Expenditure not allowed as application, which is donation to another trust towards corpus. But if you have a trust for whom you have donated money, and out of which say part of it is towards corpus, if you write the gross amount, if you write only the net amount in clause B, and then the difference here, there is some anomaly that's come. So there is some issue with that part also, which if we can take the example, we will be able to address it.
So just
Then-
quickly go there.
Yeah.
7 lakhs if you receive, 7 lakhs donation you have given, 2 lakhs is towards corpus. So if you write 5 and 2, it will give you 3 lakh rupees. There'll be a problem. So they will minus it and give you application of a lower amount. So you have to write the full gross amount 7 and then write 2 so that you get the 5 in the application. So there is this mismatch where the explanation says something. However, if you take the net amount, the wrong figure goes.
Okay, and in Schedule ER, if you see the sources of fund to meet the expenditure, there is clause 2 which is due, income accumulated under 11.2 or third provision in earlier years, and clause 5 which is corpus. So if you have spent out of these two, it will also be matching with your Schedule J, which is your corpus schedule, and your 11.2 schedule. So that could be an issue. So suppose you have done revenue expenditure out of 11.2, they will be able to note this out.
Even
Because the department has a view that revenue, there should not be revenue expenditure against 11.2 unless it is specifically informed.
So you will also have an issue where if you write the source as your 15%, okay, past accumulation of 15%, it will not take it an application. So what you write over here will decide what goes to your application.
Correct. It will be used any others, please specify. 11.1 you be clear, 11.2 if it is there. Other than that, you will agree. Then G and H are new. Amount which was not actually paid during the previous year. This is the explanation to section 11, wherein amount application will be allowed only on payment basis. So this will be the new figure that you have to write. And Schedule H, the H column, which is earlier year disallowed, now allowed. This year it will be 0 for everyone. You cannot have a figure in H today. It will only happen from next year.
Or subsequent.
Similarly, Schedule EC also the same things are there which we discussed of. So we don't need to go back on EC. Only one more point here is if you have done a sale under 11.1A capital asset, it will be reported. You will get 15% and you will also be able to get application. Yeah.
So in that ER, there is a place where amounts not paid, that gets tallied with your current liability in your balance sheet. If you go to current liability, that gets matched. So if you have current liability balance and you've not filled up something over there, it will give you a blue tag. If you file it later on, it will tell you that this is not allowed.
No, but then in balance sheet you should have earlier years provisions are not there.
Yeah. So, but it is
Only current
giving you
year
a blue mismatch.
So we've covered all the
Preparing
schedule
the
now.
balance sheet, you should segregate the current year's liability and earlier years.
So the last one is Schedule BTI, Part BTI.
Sources of fund, what did you say? Sources of fund for revenue application?
It could be your current year's application,
Yeah.
it could be your 11.5 accumulation, it could be your 11.2.
11.2,
Whatever you fill up, whatever is
It
the
will
source of
correlate
the
with
fund,
the-
it correlate with those funds over there. Okay, with J schedule and also with your BTI.
Now straight we go to Schedule Part BTI. That's it. This is the final schedule, second last schedule. I've skipped 115 TD because I don't think the department also has yet initiated any 115 TDs. I don't know, at least offhand.
No, it is not. There was an RTI.
Some cases are going on.
Yeah. So now part B TI, what is marked out in the box are all figures which are already there. So you see, practically the first entire thing is auto from the schedules. Go down.
Only thing which you have to fill up over here is your 15%. So your 15% is to be filled up because that 15% does not come suo moto. If you fill up 15%, everything falls in place. So in this schedule, all figures will come from the schedule itself, and the only figure which you fill up over here is your 15% which you accumulated. So 15% accumulated, they are not asking you anywhere else, they are asking you over here. So don't fill up, it will show a higher income to that much extent.
So that 15% is the derivation figure, is the differential figure. Okay. And another thing you remember, here they ask for the 9A details. Okay. There is no provision anywhere to require details of Form 10. Only 9A is required. So 1 year accumulation, you are supposed to give it in the return year. Form 10, there is nowhere any clause where you have to report it. But if you have not done it, it will be a problem. So be careful. It's just that
Form 10 accumulation, we have to mention 6.
That you have to mention, but it doesn't require the date of filing. Technically, even this, so, but I think for want of time offline, I'll tell you there is a technicality on this. We'll discuss that later. Derivation is okay. Everything else is then amount eligible for exemption under 11(1)(c). So that is the other column that you have to fill up if you have taken some specific permission. 21, 22, 23 is again derived. Everything else go down to part B TI. And then the violations. This is where you fill up 6A. Income expert. Screenshot. Here. Income as per explanation 3B in case of violation of clause A, B, C, D of 80G. Income as per that is the violation of corpus donation, sorry, the donation received for specific purpose by a religious institution. Okay. And above that is amount disallowable under 11(1) read with section 40A(1)(a) and 40A(3)(3)(a). This would be straight away picked up as income. So suppose you have a situation of 10 lakh rupees of expenditure income on which TDS is not cut. Then 30% is disallowed as per 40A(1)(a). That 3 lakh rupees is what will report it.
So there is a view.
My view is that the provision says it will not be allowed as an application of income.
Correct.
So there is no question of paying tax on that.
But here it is speaking as an income.
Yes.
It is as soon as you fill up anything in 40A or 40A(3)(a) or 3, it will straight away take it over there and not give you anything else. It will take you as to income.
And provision says it will not be for calculating the application of income of subsection so and so. It will be for 40A(1)(a) or 40A(3) or 3A. It will be applied.
So there is a view that it should only be reduced from application. There is a view that it will not be reduced from application because that entire amount will be allowed as application. Only 3 lakhs rupees. To that extent, you claim it as instinct.
But tax working
Tax mark. Correct.
According to me, tax man 9.
So it
should not come in tax.
So the department also has a third view, but we will let them only. I think that only time will decide which is the correct view. And post this, I think these are all the clauses are covered. I think I managed to close it at 8 o'clock. Sorry for being fast at the end.
Don't worry.
But
you can extend.
So I'll just add one more thing is that once you are filing the return, the person authorized to sign is the trustee or managing trustee or the other trustees. Or you have to buy as a resolution and approve, and that is, I think, a bit of a tricky. That is a bit tricky. And the other thing is that you can either digitally sign it, or you can do an Aadhaar OTP, EBC.
All possible.
Now
I think other than this.
Digitally signed is everywhere. Even people are now signing balance sheet. Auditor is also signing digitally. So
Yeah.
I think that era has come now. So all these problems will be solved with that. You have that with you.
Let's look at the question.
No, let's look at the question.
Yeah. Yes.
Any
Tarun
specific-
question.
Yeah.
It is up to you.
I'm okay.
And then we
Then
are
okay, then we are.
Khushbu, let's go to that. And we'll do the question answers later on, Mr. Kupreja and Mr. Shaurabh. Yeah. We'll just go through the question.
So he's prepared a case study, which is very nice. We'll just discuss it and how to fill it up. So Trust XYZ, a charitable activity of running hospital, takes care of hospital as a pharmacy included in the hospital by registration number so and so and registered at 12A also. The trust has has income of 8.80 crores, 6 crore hospital, 2 crores pharmacy, and 50 lakhs donation, 10 lakh rupees rent, and 20 lakh rupees capital gain. It had received 8 lakh corpus, for which it had made an FD of 5 lakh rupees. It has sold some mutual funds, and which has rupees 10 lakhs and sold for 30 lakhs.
No, but we are discussing, no?
Yeah, so we'll just.
He is reading
I'm
the
reading the
case
question
study.
and
Case
he'll
study.
give you the solution
No,
also.
so one by one, let him answer, no?
Let him.
No,
Let
no,
me
for you
read.
to understand, he is working.
Acha, okay.
He's prepared a working, so he'll show you the
We
working.
can show the working also,
Okay.
and you can just read it off.
Yeah. So if you want
Yeah,
to read
offline
it,
would be easy to understand. So many things you have covered. I think it
if I read it, it is better. But if you want
read
me
it
to-
completely, Baba.
Yeah.
Half is already over.
It has sold some mutual fund at cost at rupees 10 lakh, cost of 10 lakhs and sold for 30 lakhs. They are long term in nature. The trust wants to take the benefit of 11(1)(a) and had invested 24 lakh rupees in fixed deposit with banks. It could spend rupees 6.10 crores and depreciation was 0.50 and had a surplus of 2.20 crores. It spent rupees 50 lakhs for modernization of on plant and equipment. Okay, so this is the case study.
Further.
Yeah, further. So out of donation given, 7 lakhs, 2 lakhs of the trust towards its corpus.
I'll sum it up quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll do that. Thus, 6 lakhs was disallowed in 21, which was on which TDS had not been paid, which they paid, that was allowed. They have creditors of 22 lakhs, out of which 6 lakhs were of earlier year and 16 lakhs were pertaining to the current year. Then it had PF of 2 lakhs, PT of 1 lakh, and GST of 2 lakhs, which it had not yet paid. Then out of the total expenditure of the trust, around 10 lakhs, next mention. 10 lakhs was expenditure on which TDS had not been deducted. They had to do an emergency cash payment to the vegetable vendor for 1 lakh rupees. Then it had an expansion plan, and it decided to accumulate an amount of 50 lakhs for 5 years under 11(2). However, it could only make an FD of 40 lakhs and up to 31st March 22, and it made a balance FD of 10 lakhs in June 22. Okay, then the trust had accumulated 60 lakhs in AY 16-17, out of which it spent 50 lakhs. And 17-18 it had 20 lakhs as accumulation, 18-19 it had 50 lakhs of accumulation. The trust had accumulated under 11(1) explanation 121 of 25 lakhs in 19-20, which it received in the current year in February, but it only spent 5 lakhs. And the balance it had to be 20 lakhs. And it had also accumulated under 11(1) rupees 15 lakhs. And it had a deficit of 15 lakhs in EY 2021. You have to make a computation of this trust and file the return. So I have already done that part. So we can just, so this is the balance sheet of the trust.
Let's go to the computation.
No, go to the income and expenditure. Income and expenditure. So as you see, is 6 lakhs income, pharmacy income, donation in kind, and rent of ATM, gain from mutual fund 20 lakhs, expenditure is property, establishment, depreciation, hospital expenses, donation, and surplus. Next page, balance sheet. These are all the same items that I already spoke of. Funds and liabilities are 133 corpus, earmark funds are there, creditors, statutory dues of 5 lakhs that we discussed, and income and expenditure account. Against that, there is immovable property, furniture, fixture. That is not furniture, it's plant and machinery. Investments, which I have specifically broken out based on the investment. Stock, TDS, debtors, and cash and bank balance. For want of time, we'll quickly go to the computation. So,
Zoom kar.
So first we will take all the income. So I'll just read it out again. So continue reading it also. So the rental income, ATM is there. Domestic, it had received 50 lakhs as donation.
8
Correct.
lakhs corpus.
8 lakhs was corpus. That is also added.
And
It received hospital income 6 lakhs, pharmacy income 2 lakhs,
8 crores.
total 8 lakhs,
8 crores.
8 crores, sorry, 8 crores. And it had a gain on mutual fund of 20 lakhs, out of which it invested only 24 lakhs. So the proportion, that is 24 lakhs, that is amount invested upon total consideration into gain, will get taxed as income. Will not get taxed, will become income.
4
Under
lakhs.
section 11(1)(a), which is 4 lakhs. However, just to add here, suppose the entire 30 lakhs was invested in fixed deposits, then they would have been able to show 30 lakhs as income, and in application they would be able to show 30 lakhs as invested in FD, and to top it all, on 30 lakhs they would also get 50% benefit because it is part of income. So this is the. However, there is no provision in the ITR to report the 24 upon 30.
Proportion.
There is no provision in the ITR to show this figure. However, if full amount is invested, it is asking for the details.
Next,
Yeah.
you go to corpus, then we'll discuss 2 points in this issue.
Yes, okay. Then next is below that is corpus. I had written there that corpus invested in FD was 8 lakhs. Or corpus was 8 lakhs, but amount invested was 5 lakhs. So the balance can be not invested, so it would be technically taxable. However, in this case study, we had cash and bank balance that sir exactly pointed out. Okay, cash and bank balance can also be considered as deposit under in schedule bank under 11(5). So I have used that cash and bank balance in this case. Another point. We have immovable properties also in the balance sheet. Just open the balance sheet.
But if it is earlier years in more property.
Agree.
But during the year,
Cash bank is there. So even for during the year, there is no land and building action. So that we cannot use. Cash and bank is correct. Sir is correct.
equipment is also there.
But equipment is not a 11.
That is what is
Not more.
Not corpus.
that is what is
11.
movable as
So I'll tell you what, in the case of a hospital, you can create
Yes.
an oxygen plant, which would be part of immovable property also for the purpose of.
you add.
So it's a technical point, but you are
Even like 4 lakh rupees. Which
If
are
you know
showing
the
as
provision,
taxable,
you can do it.
Yeah, but in hospital, instrument, etc.
कोई भी एक project plant में डालो ना.
Correct.
नहीं नहीं तो
But
ऐसे
I'm
ही
just
होगा तो
being conservative.
Hospital में
I'm saying that Rahul Dravid gave
Hospital
not the
है.
Sehwag gave.
बहुत सारे उसमें plants हैं. बहुत
नहीं
सारी
only instrument is there I'm saying then what happened
नहीं.
नहीं
11 किधर है?
नहीं
11.5 में नहीं आएगा.
Those are even in school also similar problems are there. So now here,
No,
even-
even
I
the
think that
4 lakh
11
rupees that which they have shown as taxable, there are judgments which say that 4 lakh rupees lying in bank account is also treated as
Yes.
in application under 11.
that's correct. That's what is my I was going
Correct,
to it. And the same thing is for corpus as well.
Right.
But
Correct.
there should be sufficient balance.
Balance.
And we should take care that immediately it is invested, because if your that bank balance for any reason reduces,
Then you are in trouble.
then you are in.
So sir rightly pointed out,
Immediately you put it.
before filing the return, as a prudent professional and a safe professional, see to it that he shows you the FD made before you say I will upload the return. That is the safest thing. So at least you have protected the client to that. He might not understand it today, but tomorrow when the notices come, he will be happy.
Now thing is this, along with 10B, now since last year, there is no provision, there is nothing in rules. But they are asking audited income expenditure account and balance sheet to be attached. So once you have filed then there is no
Correct.
question of.
Whether
No, no, no,
time
you are
limit
just-
for 11.5 investment, with a time limit for
No.
investment.
So I see you, since you mentioned this, there is no time limit for 11.5 investment. But now the balance sheet is asking you as on 31st March, you have to match it. So once you go beyond this, you are going into the gray areas.
10, Form 10, close to, I think they, within 6 months, they would.
So what happened was in AY 16-17, before AY 16-17, Form 10, the wordings were invested
Or
up to
will
the
be,
date of.
or will be invested. Now that will be invested is deleted.
It is from 16, it is deleted, now it is.
So I'll just read the wording, I have the old Form 10.
We were just discussing before.
So it says, before expiry of 6 months commencing from the end of each previous year, the amount so accumulated or set apart has been invested in mode specified under 11.5. So it specifically said before expiry of 6 months. And the current new Form 10.
Before filing of 10, it is invested. It is, the
Right.
wordings are changed.
No, that's why I want to clear that.
And the new Form 10 is the amount so accumulated or set apart has been invested in mode specified under 11.5. So practically it says now but now the thing is how did they do this? They did this by amending a form through the rule. Whether that is valid contention or
Now,
not.
what is the Act say?
Even
Act doesn't say,
Yeah,
Act
no,
says,
Act is silent.
Act is
no,
silent.
Act says 11.5 investment.
Correct.
Now rule only prescribes the 6 months. Now rule only change it.
So
Now they wanted it is invested before you file the form.
Technically, that is what they intend to. They would want you to do. So I won't be surprised if after someone they will say 11.5 deposit in banks will also not be considered. Bank balances, they will amend it probably somewhere in the future. You never know.
11.2 that might
But
be
now
there,
section very
but
clear
every
before
trust
any bank
requires as per their needs of expenditure. There are certain trusts we are having their need like some rupees bank balance. That will not be done. But 11.2 they can prescribe.
Correct.
But generally 11.5 it will not be. Another thing is investment in 5. If any new FDs have been purchased during the year, that according to me can be considered 11.5 investment.
Yes.
But not renewal one.
Sir, regarding cumulative interest on FD, whether we can consider that as a fresh FD?
No.
Add it to the FD. Show it under FD.
In the current
Yes,
year, whatever
yes.
interest we are taking,
Yes.
that can be,
Investment, na?
I mean, that
You have to
can be
understand.
considered.
But how you will represent, how you will calculate, show it to. There are
We will get the interest that is get from the bank that in the
No,
current.
in the
No,
balance
sir,
sheet, form 10,
what
form
he's saying
10.
now, practically in assessment, because we had some 40-50 assessments in 2021. They actually, in the case of 11.2, they said mark the FDs, mark the bank statement where you have made the FDs, and then give it to us. So if you had just and then we had one or two of renewal, I think we had to modify and do something and make our own representation. So ideally, don't do all that.
And
Dicey. Only the I am
Not that you are wrong. You will win at a higher level, but then you
No,
will
litigation.
Get ready up to tribunal. But I tell you, renewal also you should not take it because 11.5 says out of the income earned during the year. If your FD is earlier years, then renewal cannot be considered. And if there is a surplus, 11.2, why you will go for 11.2? There is excess income. So excess income already must be there in new FD, or if it is bank balance, so put the FD before form 10. And you see that.
So it's a chicken or the egg. What comes first? So if you make an FD on 5th April, you are in trouble.
It's an hypothetical question to the extent because the entire thing is based on a cash flow. Unless you have the funds, it will be somewhere. Okay. So you have to only identify it. So it cannot be that you don't have the funds. So it will.
Come on, next.
Okay, now we go to the income is there, 8.64 is what we came to. Next slide, all the expenditure. Expenditure.
No, here my 1 point.
Sir, quickly we go through this, otherwise
We complete this, otherwise
yeah.
we'll not.
Expenditure in respect of properties is 3 lakhs, establishment 10 lakhs, then medical expenditure was 590, And there was donation of 7 lakhs. Out of
Minus
which
2 lakhs was
we went to another trust, so we have to reduce 2 lakhs.
Correct.
So donation is 5 lakhs. Total expenditure is 6 crores 8 lakhs. Now, amount not considered as per explanation 2 to 11 of section 11, explanation of 11. That is sundry creditors 16 lakhs. We had creditors of 22 lakhs in the balance sheet.
only the current
Ah.
year's creditors we've taken.
Yes, just hide. I just
Now here.
That will be difficult.
One for 23.
No, no, 22.
that
That
is
is a printing.
Sir, sir, sir.
नहीं, वो देख लिया last time.
I'll clear that
Sir, sir,
point.
there was a
There is a printing error by taxman. That they by mistake they have printed 23. This provision of on payment
Yeah.
basis is applicable from assessment year 22, 23.
Last time
No,
we
no,
have
no,
discussed
they-
this.
luckily
they-
taxman is in India, not in US.
Now, even we checked with the act under the CBDT site, it is clearly saying
Notification
22.
which means.
Even budget
notified by the
paper also
president.
says, budget paper also
So
says.
I'll just share with you when the budget came out, the budget memorandum.
22 was.
It was from AY 23-24. However, then a taxation amendment law was there in which they amended it to 22. And because of that, it is 22-23. So if you go on the incometaxindia.gov site and open the act and click on this,
22.
you will get AY. So if you have not done it, you please recheck it and revisit the provision. But that means you'll have to amend your 10B.
Still, you know,
You will have to amend your 10B.
you have time.
But if it's a major repercussion, I would advise you to relook at it. It's a smaller trust. Yeah, then it's okay.
No, this for creditors, where this trust is not having any business activity.
So it's a pharmacy, hospital. It has debtors and creditors, everything it has. It is not business activity, no business activity.
So if there is no business activity, then there's a separate balance sheet. Only these creditors are for expenses.
Correct.
It should be pertaining to expenses because we discussed my different view for business. Business creditors are business expenditure
That
and
is separate.
business.
11-4A.
11-4A. And here, if it is a hospital, then those creditors are for expenses.
Correct.
So current years are to be decided.
Only current years and not earlier. So basically, maintain reconciliation statement. GST reconciliation, income tax reconciliation.
By mistake, if you claim this expenses, the implication is that the law says that this, once you claim, they will disallow it and it can never be claimed in the next year. So if once claimed, it will never be allowed claimed in the next after that.
So suppose
If supposing by mistake you claimed it over here, they will disallow it over here and you will not be able to claim it in any of the years because you claimed it over there. The law says that. So you need to be very careful about this application.
Practically, this will be, earlier years also will be included. So unless you go in the detail and
Yes.
find out what are.
But that is not, it's very
No, I
easy,
know.
sir. One button from the software and everything.
Anyway,
comes out.
my suggestion, I gave earlier also, I am repeating it. While preparing the balance sheet and your current liability,
Please, sir.
A, current year's liability,
Correct.
B, earlier liability.
Earlier.
Sir,
So the total will come.
Make
So
the
here
trust balance sheet
also
like
will
you
match.
make like a company balance sheet. Debtors and creditors, same thing. Then PF, disallow 2 lakhs, PT, 2 lakh, 1 lakh. Suppose there was TDS here of 1 lakh as a liability. We are of the view, we are disallowing. We are disallowing.
Some have got different view.
Some are, but we
My
are disallowing.
expenses are 1 lakh, I am booking 1 lakh.
Specifically in the
liability
case
is-
of a charitable trust, we are taking prudent view
So, but
and
safer
conservative
side,
views.
safer side is okay because next year you will.
Anyway, you will be allowed. So don't.
In any case, you are going.
And if you have surplus after that, do 11-1 or 11. So 19 lakhs is disallowed. So it comes down to 5 crore 89 lakhs. Then less amount spent out of accumulation under 11. So there was 25 lakhs of AY 1920, which was under subclause 1, which we had discussed in Schedule D. That got received in the current year. So that says that you have to spend it in that year or in the subsequent year. In the question, we put a rider stating that out of 25 lakhs, only 5 lakhs is spent. 20 lakhs could not be spent. But you can ignore that sentence because if you have expenditure, you can show it is applied against that. Otherwise, you will have to show it in the return, carry it forward. And if you do that, I think there is some issue in the return also. We were not able to know it's happening. Okay. Yeah,
It's
so
happening.
It's happening. Subsequently, there is another 15 lakhs of last year which it got applied. So that is also okay. So that's 40 lakhs is reduced again from 589. So you're down to 549. Now, amount disallowed under 40A1A in the earlier years. Remember, I told you there was a AY 21-22 6 lakhs which was disallowed. That was paid. So now that amount is allowed. So that is allowed. No? So it is added. No? Application worthy. Correct. So 549. So 555 is my expenditure. Now, what did I do? I wanted to accumulate 11 to 60 lakhs. I wrote in the question, but I could make FDs. Sorry, that was the subsequent. Sorry.
No, this is for.
This is AY 16-17. That is the last year of accumulation. I had accumulation of 60 lakhs, but I could only spend 50 lakhs out of that. So in 11.3 in Schedule J, the last column, automatically 10 lakhs will come, which will be shown as next slide, as income here. Okay, so this becomes an income. Then there was a 3 lakhs and a 1 lakh. 3 lakhs was disallowed because TDS not paid. And 1 lakh, there I think 3 lakhs were Vipin sir and there are different views. And the 1 lakhs is cash expenses. So the total 14 lakhs is the income. Come back up.
10 lakhs.
10 lakhs જે છે
Go. It is a
11 2 ના વપરાણા નથી.
हाँ ये આવી ગયા કે નીચે?
એ આવી ગયા.
10 lakh.
બીજા ટ્રસ્ટને આપ્યા. 50-60 of your donation.
No, not that.
No.
That is 7 lakhs and
You
2 lakhs.
accumulated 60, you spend only 50, so 10 is
Last year
added.
unaccumulated.
Sir, what you are saying is this 7 lakhs and 2 lakhs here. See, that I have already reduced 2 lakhs. Okay, and
No, but this 3 and 1,
what's
you have not disallowed earlier.
No.
Application.
no.
So it is one way we have taken in application, but accumulation it has gone, and you have to pay the tax on it.
Correct.
But because of utility, I think. Whether
Yeah.
filing the return, it is showing that way.
Yes.
Yes.
So I differ with the provision. Provision is.
Yeah, I personally am not comfortable with the provision the way it is. Ideally, it should have been only this much, that it should be not allowed as application. So we were originally always just reducing application to that extent.
Suppose I am making more accumulation 11.2 instead of 50-60 I am suppose making. So my 15% within range it will come. So
That's what is my saying is, if you disallow as means reduce application and increase your accumulation, so it is
nullified.
nullified.
It is nullified.
What the ITR is catching as a separate income liable for tax.
Correct. But that it is saying, what is 40A1A? What do you do in what do you do when you are filing a tax audit report? What do you do when you are a computation of an individual which is liable to tax audit? What happens in 40A1A? 1 crore was there, I did not spend 2 TDS. 30%, 30 lakhs, what happens?
it will be income.
Income, liable,
Loss, then it will be
but
set
it is
off.
mutandis up to 30 lakhs.
That's what if you have a carried forward losses.
But here,
Yeah.
okay, that, but that is also now gone, explanation 5 to 11.1. Deficit carry forward,
Trust is there.
that is also out. Deficit carry forward also they reduce.
Let's complete.
Let's complete this.
One point. I will read the provision for this
Just
TDS.
2 minutes and then we will be. Yeah. Then the accumulation 10 lakh. Then what is left is 15%. 1 crore 29 lakh 60,000 is the 15%. Then accumulated under 11.1. That's wrong. It should be 2 first and 11.1 later on. I had written in the question that they wanted to accumulate 50 lakhs, but if you see the balance sheet, they did not have funds, so they accumulated only 40 lakhs because the FD is only to the extent of 40 lakhs. I have also written that they have made an FD of 10 lakhs in June. Now, if we use the provision of 11.5 allowed deposit and then do this, then it will be 50 lakhs here in computation in 11.2 and 1 crore 29 lakhs in 11.1 instead of 40 lakhs. So it could be both ways. We have just now to show both, we have given this option open. Another point to remember is in Form 10, the FD list is not required, but in 10B, the FD list is required. If you have done 11.2.
FDA list is required.
Yes. Amount is required, not list, sorry, amount is amount. Sorry.
Currently,
Only you have to write where.
Correct.
there.
Permitted mode.
So if we take 11.5 deposit, then this
FDA
could be
permitted mode 11.
Yes, sir. Now, I think this is the computation, and what we have also done is we've prepared the ITR based on this, so we can share it for ease of reference of everyone.
Yes.
Obviously, there are 1 or 2 points on which there are differing views. This is our view. I have forgotten to write the disclaimer, but you please consider that the disclaimer is
It is
verbally given.
implied.
Oh, because he is right. There are certain we are different.
Yeah.
Certain-
So what we have done is only to the extent of the relevant schedules. We have prepared the balance compute ITR, and we are showed here. Schedule I
majority will be
and Schedule D. This is the new one. Remember, I said 18, 19, 25 lakhs. Amount out of this. This is where the new provision is coming. Then the Schedule J, details of loan and borrowing, and we matched all the views also. So we did not have any mismatches. So the 133 year, if you see consolidated balance sheet, and 1080 also matches here. It's what year? It's corpus and corpus 5 and 128, and it also matches here 133.
Can circulate this separately.
Yeah, we can circle. That's it. Thank you for patient hearing, and sir wants to now continue TDS. Sorry.
That TDS, the provision is this way. Explanation 3 says for the purpose of determining the amount of application.
Correct.
40A, 1A and 43 mutis mutandis will apply as they apply for computing for business.
Correct.
So this levying of tax on this amount is not correct.
Intention is violative of the provisions of the law.
The interpretation by a person who has made this Action 7, it is taxable.
It is
So,
beyond.
Yes.
As per-
There are
not
not
as
only
per
that, earlier also I have said one more provision where also it is not as per the provision.
But utility will take as taxable only.
Yes, it is catching.
And then
It is calculating tax.
so you have to.
So either you pay the tax or your refund will reduce.
So, sir, what you do is then you don't disclose it. See that if you see confusion opens, I tell you what you do. One second. Part B
That is
TI.
there.
Part B TI. If you had seen the original slide I showed, in that those 2 columns have to be filled up manually. It's not mandatory. Here. Last. Next. Yeah. See that there are no linkages here. Why is it not showing this? Okay, I think it's stop share. But anyway, so it basically is to be filled in. So what you should do is reduce your application as sir side rightly said. Suppose 1 crore and 10 lakhs is disallowed. Show application only of 90 lakhs. Do not disclose 10 lakhs. But again, it could be a point of litigation. So you take consent from your client with an undertaking. Otherwise, 277A, अपने को भी लगा देगा 10,000 रुपए.
That TDS you are as such not taking as application.
Correct.
So one way that will go out.
Correct.
So thing is that if it is paid, they have requested them that
So-
this payment should be as per the line of 43B, and they are considering.
Yes. In fact, we had
But this year you have to do it. Now, when they come out or when they come out or not, it is up to them.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we have been able to cover the question.